Dear beloved friend, good morning. You are awake in the stillness of dawn, when the sky begins to shift from shadow to light, and the world feels like it is holding its breath. The stars are fading. The earth is hushed. There is a sacred quiet in this moment that cannot be explained with logic. The air is soft. The light is pale. Everything feels untouched, as if heaven has drawn a little closer. This is not just another morning. This is holy ground, and I am so honored to meet you here. Maybe you are listening with tired eyes and a heavy heart. Maybe sleep did not come easily last night. Maybe you woke up not because you were ready, but because something inside you was stirring. You may be fighting a battle no one else can see. Perhaps you are carrying grief that you cannot name, or you are waking up to another day of uncertainty, trying to hold yourself together when everything feels like it is falling apart. I once sat beside a friend in the early hours just like this. She had lost her husband only weeks before. The house was quiet, but not peaceful. Every corner held a memory. Her coffee had gone cold as she stared out the window at nothing. Her voice was barely above a whisper when she said, "I do not even know how to pray anymore." And in that moment, I felt the weight of her sorrow raw, honest, and sacred. There were no polished words, no easy answers, just silence and tears. But even in her pain, something holy was happening. She had shown up. She had opened the door, even if just a crack. That is where all healing begins. You may not have the words this morning. That is okay. You do not need to perform for God. You do not need to be strong. You only need to be present. You only need to bring your heart just as it is. That is where the journey begins, not in strength, but in surrender, not in control, but in trust. This morning is an invitation, a gentle nudge from heaven, a reminder that you are seen, that you are loved, and that no pain is too deep for God to reach. You are not forgotten in the darkness. You are not disqualified by your doubt. You are not alone in your awareness. The very fact that you are here means something is already shifting. You are being called deeper. Prayer is not about saying all the right things. It is about coming home. It is about returning to the one who already knows what you need and still longs to hear your voice. There is a kind of healing that does not happen in the noise of the day, but in the stillness of early morning, when the veil is thin, when the heart is tender, when heaven leans in just a little closer. Right now, I want you to breathe. Not the kind of breath that simply keeps you alive, but the kind that helps you remember who you are. Let go of the weight you are carrying. Let go of the pressure to fix it all. This moment is not about solving. It is about surrendering. There is a sacred conversation waiting to unfold, not with force, not with fear, but with tenderness, with honesty, with hope. Whether you feel full of faith or holding on by a thread, there is room for you at this altar. The journey ahead is not about perfection. It is about presence. So let your soul settle. Let your spirit open. Let this morning become more than a routine. Let it become an encounter. What if today was the day something began to change? What if this sunrise marked the beginning of breakthrough? I believe it can. I believe it will. And so, my friend, with all the gentleness I can offer, I invite you now step into the silence, into the sacred, into the arms of the one who has been waiting for you all along. Let the conversation begin. Dear Heavenly Father, I come to you in the quiet of this morning, when the world is still asleep and the ache in my chest feels louder than anything else. My heart is weary, my mind is clouded, my soul feels fragile. There are no polished words today, only a trembling spirit trying to find you in the dark. I do not come pretending to be strong. I come with the truth. I feel lost. I feel tired. I feel like something inside me is breaking. And yet, I am here. Somehow, I am here. The night has felt long. The kind of long that stretches deeper than hours. The kind that presses heavy on the chest and makes hope feel like a distant memory. I have carried questions without answers, fears without names, wounds that no one else can see. I have smiled in the daylight and fallen apart in the silence. But in this hour, before the sun has broken the horizon, I bring it all to you, not because I know what to pray, but because I do not because I am full of faith, but because I have nothing left to cling to but you. I do not need you to be impressed by me. I just need you to meet me here, in the stillness, in the H, in the space where my words fail and my heart groans. You are not far from the brokenhearted. You draw near to those who are crushed in spirit. So I come, believing you see what no one else sees, and hear what I cannot say out loud. I come, not out of duty, but out of desperation. I feel like the earth is shifting under me, like everything I once trusted no longer holds, like the shadows have crept into places that once held light. But still I come, still I wait, still I open my hands before you, because somewhere deep inside, beneath the weight of sorrow, I believe you have not changed. I believe you are still the God who sees, the God who listens, the God who holds the pieces when they fall apart. There are things I carry that I do not understand, questions that do not have neat answers, pain that lingers without warning. But even here, I offer them to you. Even here, in the quiet cry of this early hour, I dare to believe that you are near, that you are listening, that you care. I do not ask for perfect peace, only enough peace to breathe again. I do not ask for all the answers, only for the comfort of your presence. Let this be the beginning of something deeper than understanding. Let it be the beginning of healing, of trust, of a slow return to hope. Speak to the silence in me. Touch the places I have hidden for too long. Shine light into the corners of my soul, where I have stored grief like a forgotten box. You know what I need before I ask. You know where I am tender. You know the tears I try not to cry. You see me when no one else does. So let this morning be a meeting place, a sacred space between my pain and your promise. I do not come asking you to fix me. I come asking you to hold me. I do not ask for escape. I ask for strength to keep walking, for the courage to believe again, for the grace to be still even when I do not feel you moving. Let my honesty be my worship today. Let my weakness be a place you dwell. When my thoughts race and my chest tightens, Steady me when my fears rise and I want to run. Anchor me when my past haunts and my future feels unclear. Remind me that you are still writing my story, that you are not done, that this chapter is not the end. I have felt alone in crowded rooms. I have laughed with empty lungs. I have walked with my head held high while my heart was breaking. And yet, in this moment, none of that matters, because you are here, in the hush of this hour, in the breath between sobs, in the stillness before day breaks. So I sit with you, I wait with you, I whisper what I can and trust you to hear what I cannot. If all I have today is this moment, let it be enough. If all I can do is whisper your name, let that be enough. If all I bring is silence, let it speak to you. You are not asking for perfection. You are not waiting for me to get it all together. You are simply waiting for me to come. And I have, in fear, in fatigue, in fragments, I have come. So do what only you can do. Meet me in the place where hope flickers. Remind me who I am when I forget. Breathe life where I feel numb. Bring light where I feel lost. I know the night will not last forever. I know this Aish will not be the end. But right now, I do not need tomorrow. I only need you. Here, now, in this breath, in this room, in this fragile beginning of a prayer I barely know how to pray. Let this be the altar where the long night ends and the healing begins. Let this be where my soul begins to rise again. Not because of what I feel, but because of who you are. Let this morning mark the start of something I cannot yet see, but choose to believe is coming. You are the God of the long night, the God of the quiet dawn, the God of the slow, sacred return, and this is my return. Right here, right now, in this very breath. Father, you see me still here, sitting in the quiet, where the air is thick with things I cannot name. I did not move far from where I was before. I stayed, because something inside me told me you were not finished yet. There is more you want to meet, more you want to hear, more you want to lift. So I remain with you, not out of habit, but out of something deeper, a longing that will not let go, a hunger I do not fully understand. But I bring it to you, even if it trembles in my chest. There are cries that come from deep places, cries that never touch the lips but shake the soul. I feel one rising now. I have kept it hidden, tucked beneath responsibility, beneath the fear of being too much. But you are not afraid of the sound of my sorrow. You are not overwhelmed by the sound of grief breaking loose. So I let it come, not because I want to, but because I need to. Because if I do not cry out here, in this sacred hour, I will carry it into the day and wear it like a weight I was never meant to bear. So I cry out to you, not with words rehearsed, but with everything raw. I cry out from the place where I once was silenced, from the pain I kept locked behind polite prayers. I cry because silence has grown heavy, and my soul cannot breathe beneath it any longer. I cry because I believe you are listening, not just to my words, but to the places where words fall short. You are the God who heard the groans of Israel in slavery, the God who noticed Hagar in the wilderness, the God who collected Hannah's tears in the temple when no one else understood her pain. You are the God who bends close, who does not require volume but responds to desperation. You hear the honest cry, the guttural H, the whispered help me when everything else fails. You move at the sound of broken prayers. So I am not afraid to weep here. I will not dress this moment in performance. I will not edit my heart for presentation. I will let it all come. The confusion, the fear, the H, the memories I cannot shake, the dreams I buried too soon. I will not pretend I am not angry at what was taken, or scared of what might still go wrong. You can handle the full truth of my heart, and I trust you enough to give it. Let this cry be my turning. Let this sound, this release be the breaking of chains I did not know still held me. I have carried silence like a shield, hoping it would protect me, but silence has only kept me distant. From you, from others, from myself. So I raise my voice, not to demand, but to declare that I am no longer willing to hide what hurts. I will not let shame keep me quiet. I will not let fear keep me small. I am crying out not because you do not know, but because I need to remember you are the one who answers. That my cry is not an echo lost in space, but a sound that reaches the heart of the Creator, that the moment I speak, even trembling, even faltering, even breaking something begins to shift, not because I said it perfectly, but because I said it at all. There is something sacred in the sound of surrender, in the kind of cry that is not seeking attention, but seeking God. That is what this is, a surrender. A sound that rises from the lowest place and dares to believe there is still a way forward. I am not asking you to rush in and fix everything. I am asking you to hear me, to hold me, to steady me as I release what I have buried too long. Every tear is a testimony that I have not given up. Every crack in my voice is a door opening. Every breath between is a space where you can come and do what only you can do. You are not distant. You are not waiting for me to get it together. You are already near. So near that you hear the tremble beneath the sound, the ache beneath the words, the faith beneath the fear. Let this cry rise like incense. Let it pierce the silence of my soul. Let it be heard in places where I have felt invisible. Let it be the sound that breaks open healing, that shatters the illusion that I must be strong all the time. Let it be the moment the dam breaks and your mercy floods in. Let this cry be holy in your ears. I do not know what comes next, but I know something is different now, because I chose not to stay quiet, because I dared to bring the weight of my soul into your presence without filters, because I stopped pretending I was okay and trusted that you would not turn away. You are not ashamed of my mess. You are not bothered by my sorrow. You are moved by it. You moved when the leper cried, "If you are willing, you can make me clean." You moved when the blind man shouted, "Son of David, have mercy on me." You moved when Peter wept bitterly after denying you. And you move now, for me, in this moment, in this hour before the world wakes up and forgets to feel. In this place where time feels suspended and grace feels near. So I will cry until the silence lifts, I will cry until the weight eases. I will cry not because I am weak, but because I am ready. Ready to let go. Ready to be heard. Ready to believe again. I am not ashamed of my tears. They are the language of my soul when words collapse. They are my offering this morning. My surrender. My truth. Receive them, all of them, the fresh ones and the old ones, the ones from wounds I thought had healed, the ones that surprise me now. Let them fall into your hands like rain. Let them be gathered in places I cannot see. Let them become seeds. Let them become rivers. Let them become healing. Let them become testimony. I do not know how you will respond. I only know that you always do, whether with silence that comforts or whispers that guide, whether with peace that stills or strength that sustains. You always answer, maybe not in the way I expect, but always in the way I need. And so, I wait now not in silence, but in surrender, not in fear, but in faith, not in hopelessness, but in the raw, sacred place of a cry you have already heard. Lord, it is still quiet here. The room has not changed, but something inside me has, after the tears, after the breaking. I feel a hush within that was not there before, not silence like before, not the kind that feels empty, but a stillness that seems to hold meaning. I do not know if anything outside me has shifted, but something deeper has stirred, and in this space, where grief was poured out and sorrow was named, something new is rising. Not loud, not fast, but real. What I have left now is memory, not the kind that wounds, but the kind that anchors, the kind that reminds me this is not the first valley I have walked through. This is not the first time I have felt lost or afraid or unsure. And yet, each time before, you were there, quietly working, gently moving, faithfully keeping me even when I did not see it until later. So now I pause, not to escape the present, but to remember, to look back with open eyes and see again what I had forgotten in the heaviness. I remember the moment I thought I would not make it, and I did. I remember the prayer I whispered years ago that I thought heaven ignored, only to see it answered in a way I never imagined. I remember the time the provision came, just when I had nothing left. The door that opened when I had given up knocking. The peace that met me in a hospital room. The voice that came in a dream. The kindness of a stranger when I needed hope. I remember. You have moved before. You have rescued before. You have spoken into the silence before. And because of that, I will not let this present ache erase your past faithfulness. I will not let fear make me forget who you are. You are the same today as you were back then. The same God who met me in midnight hours and uncertain days. The same God who carried me through storms I was sure would break me. The same God who held me when no one else knew I was falling apart. You are not just the God of ancient stories. You are the God of my story, the God of my moments, the God of my miracles. You are not bound by time or distance. You are not limited by my emotions or expectations. You are faithful, even when I am not. You are steady when everything else shakes. You are kind when the world is cruel. You are near when I feel most alone. So I remember the way you stayed when others left. The way you whispered when my thoughts were too loud. The way you fought battles did not know I was in. The way you prepared things for me behind the scenes. The way you turned my failure into foundation. The way you took shattered pieces and made something worth keeping. That was not chance. That was not luck. That was you. And if you did it before, you will do it again. Remind me, not just of what happened, but of who you were in those moments. You were patient. You were tender. You were strong when I was weak. You were present when I was drifting. You were unchanging when I was unsure. You have never lost sight of me. You have never grown tired of my prayers. You have never rolled your eyes at my return. You welcome me again and again and again. Help me to hold fast to what I know, even when what I feel tries to pull me under. Help me to tell myself the truth when lies come loud. You are good. You are sovereign. You are not finished. I speak those words over my soul like a banner. Let them wrap around every fearful thought and every trembling place inside me. Let them remind me that you have a history with me, and history does not lie. Even in the waiting, you have moved. Even in the silence, you have spoken. Even when I walked away, you watched the road for my return. I do not stand here today because I figured it all out. I stand because you held me, because you refused to let go, because grace outran my failure and mercy chased down my doubt. You are not a God who forgets. You are not a God who walks away. So I will not forget either. Let every scar be a testimony. Let every healed place tell the truth of how you carried me through. Let the journals, the memories, the old prayers tucked in drawers all rise again as proof. Proof that you are able. Proof that you are faithful. Proof that you do not abandon those who cry out to you. Let me rehearse those miracles until my spirit remembers how near you are, how mighty you have always been, how intimately you have walked with me. When the night grows dark again, remind me of the sunrise you brought before, when fear whispers loud. Remind me of the time you silenced it with peace. When I doubt the next step, remind me of the path you carved through wilderness. Let memory become the soil where new faith is planted. Let yesterday's grace become the water for today's hope. You did not bring me this far to leave me here. You are not done writing, not with me, not with the ones I am praying for, not with the story that still feels unfinished. And if I cannot see what you are doing now, I will look at what you have already done. I will hold on to that. I will let it carry me through this fog, because your record is flawless. Your promises have never failed. Not once. So I offer you not just my pain today, but my memory. I lay it before you as an offering of faith. I trace the places where you showed up and thank you again. I lift my hands not only in need, but in remembrance. You are the God who moved before, the God who saved before, the God who delivered before, the God who loved me before I knew how to love you back. And here I am again, held by the same hands, drawn by the same kindness, seen by the same eyes that have watched over me since the beginning. You are not new to my story. You are its author. You are the one who pulled me through chapters I thought would break me, and you are still holding the pen. Keep writing. Keep weaving. Keep reminding me that no matter how dark it feels, the one who led me through yesterday's storm will not abandon me in today's shadows. Let this remembering anchor me again. Let it be the rhythm that steadies my breath and quiets my panic. Let it be the echo in my soul that says, if he was faithful then, he will be faithful now. God, you who have walked with me through memory, who have pulled threads of the past into my present to remind me that I am never abandoned, I still sit with you now. Listening. I remember, and in remembering, something in me grows quiet, not silenced by despair, but softened by awe. The kind of quiet that comes when the heart leans in to hear something deeper. The kind of stillness that invites not more noise, but more presence. So I pause, I lean, I wait. There is something sacred about this hush, about this moment where nothing needs to be said, but everything is heard. I am learning, slowly, that your voice does not always arrive like thunder. It does not always tear the sky or shake the ground. Sometimes it comes low, gentle, close, like a whisper beneath the wind. And I want to hear it, Lord. I want to hear what only stillness can reveal. I have shouted my pain. I have cried my questions. I have remembered your faithfulness. And now I choose silence not out of emptiness, but out of reverence, because I believe you are speaking. And I do not want to miss it. I do not want to drown it out with my own assumptions, so I make space for your whisper, for the breath of your spirit, for the word hidden within the wind. There are things you say only when the world is quiet. There are truths you hide like treasure, waiting for the one who will sit long enough to find them. I want to be that one. I want to wait without rushing. I want to be still without fidgeting for answers. I want to linger in the place where your whisper becomes louder than the noise inside me. Speak to me, God, not because I demand it, but because I need you. Because no voice calms my fears like yours. No word steadies my soul the way yours does. I do not need a grand revelation today. I do not need a vision that splits the sky. I need something steady. Something small. Something deep enough to stay with me long after this prayer ends. Let it be a phrase, a picture, a knowing. However you speak, I want to receive. I think of Elijah, worn down by fear and fatigue, hiding in the cave. He had seen the fire. He had heard the wind. He had felt the quake. But you were not in any of those. You came in a whisper. And that whisper was enough to realign his heart, enough to send him back with fresh courage. Do the same for me. Whisper truth into the cracks I have tried to seal. Whisper love into the places I have forgotten I am held. Whisper courage into the corners where fear still lingers. I will not rush this. I will not force clarity. I will simply be here, with you, listening for what I cannot hear with my natural ears, listening with my soul, with the part of me that knows you even when my mind cannot comprehend. You are speaking, even now, and your voice is not harsh. It is not rushed. It is not laced with shame. It is gentle. It is full of mercy. It carries the weight of eternity and the softness of a friend. Teach me to know the difference between your whisper and my worry, between your leading and my impulse, between conviction and condemnation. Tune my spirit to the sound of your presence. Let me recognize you, not just in the miraculous, but in the mundane, in the rhythm of breath, in the flicker of a thought that feels too kind to be mine, in the nudge I cannot explain. Let your whisper shape the way I move through this day. If I miss it, draw me back. If I wander, pull me close again. I do not want to move without you. I do not want to speak what you are not saying. Let me be a person who waits on you, who trusts silence more than noise, who does not measure presence by emotion, but by truth, even when I feel nothing. Let me believe you are near, even when I hear nothing. Let me trust you are speaking. Your whisper creates. Your whisper calls things into existence. Your whisper holds galaxies and hearts. So whisper over me. Speak into the questions I have not yet dared to ask. Speak to the fear I still keep hidden. Speak peace over my chaos. Speak clarity into my confusion. Let your voice be the anchor of my morning. I lay down every demand to hear you a certain way. I lay down every expectation that you must speak loud and clear. I open myself to however you choose. Whether through scripture, or a quiet impression, or a shift in my thinking, I trust you to find me. I trust you to reach the places I cannot fix. I trust that one word from you can do more than 1,000 from anyone else. Help me not just to hear, but to obey. Let your whisper become instruction. Let it move my feet, shape my choices, filter my thoughts. Let it become the compass that leads me when the map disappears. Let it be enough to get me through this day, not with ease, but with certainty, not with answers, but with presence. You do not shout to get my attention. You wait for my stillness, and here I am, God, still, a little more emptied of the noise, a little more aware of how badly I need you, a little more hungry to hear what you are saying. Let that hunger please you. Let that longing draw you near. I do not need you to repeat what you have already spoken. I need you to make it alive again. Breathe on old words. Remind me of things I once knew. Let old promises take root in fresh soil. Let forgotten dreams be stirred back to the surface. Let your whisper resurrect what I have buried in disappointment. I am ready to believe again, not because I understand, but because I trust your heart. I may never hear you the way others do, but you know how to speak in a way that I will recognize, a way that bypasses the intellect and moves straight into the spirit. So do that now. Find the opening, find the stillness, find the soft part of my heart and plant something eternal there. I will not chase miracles today. I will chase your voice. I will listen for the whisper beneath the wind, and I will stay here until it finds me. Not because I am holy, but because I am hungry. Not because I am worthy, but because I am willing. And sometimes, that is all you need. A willing heart, a quiet room, a soul leaning toward the sound of heaven. So I lean, God, I lean into you, into the stillness, into the whisper that changes everything. Father, I am still listening, still leaning into the stillness where your whisper stirred something in me. That gentle presence has not left. Though my thoughts have started to wander again, the world outside will soon wake, full of movement and noise. But here in this sacred hush, I can feel the weight of what you are inviting me into. You are not just speaking to comfort me. You are calling me to let go. There are things I have been holding tightly, quietly, things I did not realize had taken root in me. Not obvious, not loud, but subtle, quiet attachments to my own way, my own timeline, my own understanding. I see now how easy it is to build altars to self and call them survival. How easy it is to take pride in control, to cling to performance, to polish appearances while the soul grows hollow. So here I am, Lord, face to face with what I have built, the false safety, the illusion of control, the desire to be enough on my own, the silent agreements I have made with fear, the habits I have baptized as wisdom, but were really born from self-protection. I confess it, I name it, I lay it down. I have placed too much weight on things that do not last. I have sought identity in accomplishments. I have chased validation through people's opinions. I have measured worth by productivity. I have bowed to the fear of failure and called it responsibility. These have become unspoken idols, places I have run to when trust felt too costly. But you are a jealous God, not because you are insecure, but because you love with a purity that will not compete. You will not share my heart with the things that slowly drain it. And in this moment, I feel your invitation again, to release the things that cannot hold me, to turn from the hollow structures I have built, to return to the simplicity of love that does not demand performance. You are not asking me to be impressive. You are asking me to be honest. So I bring you what I have clung to. I bring you the pride that resists help, the fear that disguises itself as caution, the need to prove, to perfect, to be strong. I bring you the pressure I put on myself to carry what was never mine to hold. I lay it all before you, not in shame, but in surrender. I trust you enough to let go. Strip me of everything that hinders love. Peel away the layers that hide your reflection in me. Break the patterns I have rehearsed so long I forgot they were not from you. If it must be dismantled to make room for the real, then take it apart, Lord, not to harm, but to heal, not to punish, but to purify. I do not want to live from self anymore. I want to live from spirit, from the place where I know I am yours before I do anything, before I prove anything, before I earn anything. Let that truth become the foundation beneath my days. Let me live unentangled, untethered from the pressure to be what others expect. Let my soul breathe again without fear of disappointing someone. I lay down the idol of image, the mask that says I am fine when I am breaking. I lay down the idol of independence that whispers do it alone. I lay down the idol of comparison that poisons my joy. You never asked me to compete. You never asked me to carry shame. You never measured me by numbers, titles, or timelines. You simply asked me to come, to follow, to trust. So here I am, trusting you with my undoing, trusting that what you rebuild will be better than what I have grasped, trusting that letting go won't destroy me, it will free me. I am tired of chasing what does not satisfy. Tired of running toward finish lines you never set. Tired of being driven instead of led. I choose to stop here and open my hands. Cleanse my motives, God. Expose what I have worshipped in secret. Not so I will feel shame, but so I will be set free. Let this moment become a turning point, not loud or dramatic, but deep and permanent. Let this be the hour where idols fall and intimacy rises. I do not want to be near you only when I need something. I want to be near you because nothing else compares. I want to live a life that is shaped by your nearness, not my ambition. I want my inner world to match the peace I long for on the outside. And if that means letting you remake everything I have known, I say yes. Break every agreement I have made with fear. Tear down every wall I built in your name, but without your breath. And in its place, build something true. Something that reflects your heart in me. Something that cannot be shaken when the storm comes. Something that remains. Teach me to need you more than answers. To want you more than comfort. To seek you not for what you give, but for who you are. Let me find rest not in understanding, but in surrender. Let me become familiar with the peace that comes from being held, not the pride of holding everything together. Lord, if there are places where I have made idols of success, relationships, platforms, or even ministry, shine your light there. Gently, but clearly, not to condemn, but to release. I want to be free, not just free from sin, but free from the false identities I have worn too long. I want to return to simplicity, to a heart that trusts, to a soul that waits, to a mind that does not race ahead or spiral down. I want to walk lightly again, to love deeply again, to believe boldly again, but it must begin with surrender. So I surrender, not just the pain, but the pride, not just the fear, but the illusion of control. I surrender the version of me I tried to perfect and return to the child you have always known. The one who runs to you without performance. The one who believes your love is enough. The one who does not carry shame as a name. Let this be the altar where I stop striving. Let this be the morning I trade effort for intimacy. Let me walk out of this prayer not with a list of things to do, but with a lighter heart. One that knows it does not have to earn what has already been given. One that rests in the truth that you are enough, and because you are enough, I am free. Free to release, free to receive, free to simply be. Lord, the release came quietly. After surrendering what I had built, the stillness felt different, lighter, almost tender. It is strange how letting go can make room for something softer. Not a loud joy, not even relief, but a gentleness that feels like rain after drought. My heart does not know what to do with this calm. But maybe that is the point. Maybe this is what healing begins to feel like. Not a sudden victory, but a slow, sacred thaw. The tears return now, but they are not the same as before. They no longer burn. They cleanse. They fall not from despair, but from recognition. I realize how many times you have met me here. In moments like this, when strength failed, when words were gone, when only tears spoke, and every time, you did not turn away. You gathered each one as if it mattered. Because it did. Because I mattered. You see these tears not as weakness, but as worship. They are my soul's confession, my unspoken thank you for not giving up on me. You use them, do not you. You water something with them. Something that grows quietly beneath the surface, while I am still trying to understand what is happening above it. My tears are not wasted, they are seeds. They fall into the soil of surrender, and somehow, through mystery, they become life again. You have always worked in ways that feel small at first. A whisper, a crack of light, a tear sliding down a cheek. But small things in your hands are never insignificant. You take what feels fragile and make it fruitful. You take pain and turn it into compassion. You take sorrow and turn it into soil. So I will not hide my tears from you. I will not rush to stop them or cover them with distraction. I will let them fall. I will let them speak. I will let them do their work. Because maybe this is where faith begins, not in grand declarations, but in quiet trust that even my breaking has purpose. There is something holy about this H. It no longer feels like punishment. It feels like process. You are teaching me to see pain differently, not as a barrier, but as a bridge. Not as something to escape, but as something to offer. You are showing me that growth does not come from avoiding what hurts, but from letting you redeem it. And you are redeeming it. Even now. Father, you know the story behind every tear. You know the moment it began. You know the name of every loss. Every disappointment, every buried dream that still aches in me. You know the people I have loved and lost, the prayers I have prayed that still feel unanswered. You know the words I never said, and the ones I wish I could take back. You know it all. And still, you stay. You kneel beside me in the dirt of my soul, and you plant something new there, a hope that cannot be explained, a faith that does not depend on outcome, a love that refuses to leave. You water it with grace until it begins to grow in places I thought were dead. You breathe over barren ground until the scent of life returns. I feel it now, a small stirring, faint but real. It is the sound of becoming. Teach me to honor the holy work happening beneath the surface. Teach me not to despise small beginnings, not to measure growth by what I see. Help me trust the quiet seasons where nothing seems to bloom, because unseen does not mean undone. Hidden does not mean forgotten. You are cultivating something deep, something lasting. I think of the garden after rain, the way the earth drinks deeply, the way colors seem richer, the way everything glistens as if newly made. That is what my soul feels like right now. Still fragile, but refreshed. Still tender, but alive. You have turned my mourning into soil. My sorrow is being transformed into ground where joy can one day grow. You are not asking me to move on quickly. You are asking me to stay soft, to let tears do what pride never could to cleanse, to heal, to make room. I see now that strength is not the absence of tears, but the courage to let them fall and still believe in the morning that follows. Let my tears become intercession. Let them speak for what I cannot say. Let them carry prayers too deep for language. When I cannot find words, let them be my offering. You understand their language. You translate them into purpose. You turn each drop into mercy. And when others cry, help me remember this moment. Help me be gentle with their pain, just as you are with mine. Help me not to rush their process or judge their silence. Help me sit with them the way you sit with me, patient, present, unafraid of sorrow. Make me a well of empathy, a safe place where others can breathe again. Lord, thank you for not demanding perfection from me. Thank you for calling tears holy, for naming them sacred. Thank you for showing me that being broken is not the end, it is the beginning of something more honest, more tender, more alive. I may not yet see the harvest, but I believe in the rain. I believe in the one who sends it. So I will let it fall. I will let my soul be watered. I will trust that even when the ground looks muddy and uncertain, you are working beneath it all. You are turning ashes into gardens, despair into depth, wounds into wisdom. Nothing is wasted in your hands, not even tears. And as I sit here in the soft light of morning, I sense it again, that quiet assurance rising like dawn. You are near. You are doing something new. I can almost feel it taking root. What was once pain is becoming promise. What was once weeping is turning to worship. What was once empty is being filled. Keep my heart soft, Lord. Let my tears continue to fall when they need to, not as a sign of defeat, but as a reminder that I am still alive, still healing, still held, because every drop that falls reminds me of this truth: you are here, working quietly, turning sorrow into soil and tears into life. Father, the soil is soft now, after the tears, after the surrender, after the silence. I can feel the ground of my heart is finally ready for more. Not more striving, not more answers, but more of you. Something deeper has awakened in me, something still small but unmistakably real. And in this gentle stirring, I feel the invitation rising, not just to be healed, but to be filled, not just to survive, but to burn again. There is a flicker where there was once only smoke. I sense it even now, this quiet ignition, a flame being born where only ashes remained. I know this is not a moment to step back. This is a moment to step toward the fire that purifies, the fire that illuminates, the fire that reminds me I was never meant to walk through life dimmed down or cooled off. I was made to burn with holy passion, with steady devotion, with a heart alive in your presence. So I come, Lord, not just as someone in need of comfort, but as someone hungry for fire. I bring my life to the altar again, not pieces, not parts, not portions I have deemed safe, but the whole of me. Every dream, every disappointment, every gift, every wound, every thought that rises with the morning. I lay it all down, and I ask you to do what only you can. Set it ablaze, not with emotion, not with noise, but with real fire, the kind that refines motives and consumes pretense, the kind that reveals what is pure and burns away what cannot last. I do not ask for a temporary spark. I ask for sustained flame, a steady burn that does not depend on feeling, but is anchored in truth. Let this be the kind of fire that stays through the night and endures in the day. You have never needed much to start a fire. A bit of wood, a little oil, an offering that costs something. So here is mine. Here is my yes, my desire, my weakness, my faith, fragile but present. Here is my longing to live alive again. Here is my willingness to be consumed if it means I burn for you. Light it, Lord. Light it until the flicker becomes flame, until the warmth returns to places gone cold, until the shadows are chased away by the glow of surrender. Let your fire fall here on this heart, on this life, on this altar made in the quiet hours, not for show, not for others, but for you. I remember how you answered Elijah with fire, not because of eloquence, not because of performance, but because of obedience. He rebuilt what had been broken down. The wood, prepared the sacrifice, and prayed. That was enough, and you answered. You did not need the crowd. You did not need the noise. You just needed the altar and the offering. So I build an altar now, not with stone or structure, but with trust. I lay myself upon it with reverence and ask you to ignite what I cannot. Burn away the pride, the fear, the false humility, the distractions that pull me in 100 directions. Burn away anything that competes with love, anything that looks like faith but is only form. Let this fire shape me. Let it change how I see, how I move, how I speak, how I live. Let it teach me to burn without burning out, to carry light without needing applause, to shine in secret because I have stood near your flame. I do not want to be known for noise. I want to be marked by fire, by the steady heat of a life lived near your presence. Let it warm what has gone numb in me. Let it soften what became calloused. Let it reawaken what fell asleep when hope grew tired. Let this fire speak without words, radiate without effort, transform without striving. I know that once your fire touches something, it cannot stay the same. So touch me, not with distance, not with delay, but with nearness. Consume me without destroying me. Refine me without condemning me. Burn in me until what remains is something you can dwell in. A life no longer ruled by fear, no longer pulled by performance, no longer distracted by shadows. I know fire can be uncomfortable. It reveals what we try to hide. It strips away what no longer belongs. It leaves behind only what is true. But I welcome it, because I want truth more than comfort. I want transformation more than ease. I want to live lit from the inside out. Father, this is not a one-time cry. This is a daily invitation, a rhythm of surrender, a life of consistent return to the altar. Teach me to tend the flame. Teach me to bring the oil of intimacy, the wood of obedience, the breath of prayer. Let this become the rhythm of my mornings, not a ritual, but a relationship, not obligation, but offering. When I feel dull, remind me that fire is not gone, it only needs to be stirred. When I feel unworthy, remind me that fire is not earned, it is received. When I feel alone, remind me that I am joined by generations who have kept this flame alive in caves, in closets, in wilderness places where no one saw but you. Let me be one of them, a keeper of fire, a builder of altars, a heart that hosts your flame. Let me burn quietly in the world's noise, steadily in the world's shifting, faithfully in the world's forgetting. Let my life be proof that fire still falls on surrendered hearts, that you still light lives not for display, but for depth. I bring the sacrifice of self again, the daily choice to offer not my best version, but my real one, to come empty if that is all I have, to show up tired if that is what is true. You do not despise the altar made in weakness. You delight in it, because it gives you space to be strong. So here I am again, the soil soft, the heart open, the altar built, and the flame beginning to rise. I do not know where it will lead, but I know it is you, and that is enough. Let this fire never go out. Let it burn in me, through me, for you. Let it mark this morning as holy. Let it carry me through the day, not with striving, but with light. Let it be the proof that something sacred met me here. Let it be the start of a life rekindled from within. Lord, the flame still burns, and it is not wild or violent, but steady and sure. In the glow of that holy fire, something deeper comes into view, something I have carried so long that I almost forgot it was there. The light does not shame it, it simply reveals, and now I see it clearly. These chains, invisible to others, but heavy to me, familiar, even comfortable, but they are not mine to carry anymore. I feel you moving closer to them now, not with condemnation, but with compassion. You see what they have done to me, how they have shaped my thoughts, curved my posture, dulled my steps, how I have adjusted to their weight and called it normal. But you never intended for me to walk bound. You never created me to live in cycles that keep me small. You came to break chains. So I name them now, one by one, not to cling, but to release, not to define myself by them, but to bring them into the light where they can no longer hide in silence. The chain of fear, whispering I am not safe unless I control everything. The chain of shame, convincing me I am only as worthy as my performance. The chain of doubt, always pulling me back when I try to move forward. The chain of comparison, stealing joy and planting insecurity. I have worn them like clothing, dressed in their lies, mistaken them for identity. But you never called me by those names. You call me free, you call me whole, you call me yours. So let your presence now become the place of breaking, not with force, but with authority. Speak to every link that has kept me bound, and let it fall. Your word is stronger than the weight I carry. Your truth is louder than the lies that echo in my mind. And your love is fiercer than the fear that tries to hold me here. Break the chain of the past that says, I will always be who I was. Break the chain of trauma that tries to write my future. Break the chain of addiction that clouds my clarity. Break the chain of silence that keeps me from asking for help. Break the chain of pride that masks itself as strength. Break the chain of unforgiveness that poisons my peace. I cannot break them alone. I have tried. I have spoken affirmations. I have made plans. I have read words and quoted verses, but real freedom does not come from effort, it comes from encounter. It comes from the touch of the one who came to set captives free. So come and touch these places. Lord, come and speak to these prisons. Walk through the doors I thought were forever closed, and do what only you can. Let your power move now, not in noise, but in truth. Let it fill this room, this body, this heart. Let every spiritual chain fall at the sound of your name. Jesus, you broke the curse. You shattered the grip of darkness. You rose with the keys of death and hell. There is no bondage you cannot break. There is no stronghold you cannot pull down. There is no label that can withstand the authority of your voice. Where I have believed I was too far gone, speak restoration. Where I have grown used to the chains, speak awakening. Where I have lost hope for change, speak resurrection. Let this be the moment where the atmosphere shifts, where captivity ends, where identity is restored. I want to walk differently from here. I want to stand up straight. I want to move in freedom, not flinching with fear, not shrinking in shame. I want to laugh again without hesitation. I want to dream without delay. I want to speak without apology. Let every step from this place be a declaration that the chains are gone. And when I am tempted to pick them up again because old habits are hard to break, remind me of this moment. Remind me that you already broke what I could not, that I am not returning to what once defined me, that I have been made new, not slowly, not partially, fully, immediately, irrevocably. I am not my failure. I am not my patterns. I am not what others called me. I am not what I feared. I am free, not because I earned it, but because you paid for it. Not because I feel it, but because you declared it. Let this freedom shape everything: how I love, how I serve, how I speak, how I rest. Let it transform my relationships. Let it change how I see myself when I look in the mirror. Let it rewrite the story I tell myself in the quiet moments. Let it become the foundation for the days ahead. And Father, for every person connected to me who is still walking bound, use my freedom as a spark for theirs. Let what you are doing in me become a testimony that calls others higher. Let my voice carry the sound of chains breaking. Let my life bear the marks of deliverance. Not perfection, but power. Not control, but trust. Not image, but truth. Make me bold enough to say I was once bound, but now I am not. Make me tender enough to walk with others still in their struggle. Make me honest enough to never pretend that freedom means I never feel tempted, and make me wise enough to stay close to the one who set me free, so I never forget who holds the key. You are not just the God who comforts. You are the God who conquers. You are not just the God who listens. You are the God who liberates, and you have come near not just to heal, but to deliver, not just to soothe, but to sever, not just to dwell with me in chains, but to break them completely. So I rise now not with swagger, but with strength, not with arrogance, but with clarity. The weight I carried is no longer mine. The grip of the past has lost its power. The door is open. The way is clear. And I walk forward, barefoot and light, into the life you called mine all along. This is not the end of the journey. This is the beginning of freedom. A freedom that will be tested. A freedom that must be stewarded. But a freedom that is real, and it starts here, in the glow of morning, where chains once held me and now lie broken at my feet. God. The morning light feels different today. It touches the edges of everything, as if the world itself has been washed clean. The air is lighter, my steps less burdened. Freedom has a sound. I think a quiet rhythm that rises from within, like the steady beat of a heart learning to trust again. I still feel traces of the old weight, shadows that whisper from behind, but they no longer hold authority. They remind me of where I have been, not where I belong, and that difference changes everything. You have broken the chains. Father, I know that. I felt the release. But now comes the learning, the walking, the living, the choosing to stay free. For years I walked with restraints that shaped my movements. Even now, my soul sometimes moves as if the chains were still there. I flinch when nothing binds me. I hesitate when the path is clear. It takes time to remember that the prison is open, and I am allowed to walk out into the light. Teach me how to live unbound. Teach me what it means to move without fear of falling. To think without the old lies echoing in my head. To breathe without waiting for permission. You did not set me free only to watch me stay near the door. You opened it so I could go forward into wide, open spaces, into purpose, into peace. But freedom, I am learning, is not the absence of struggle. It is the presence of choice. And every day I must choose truth over fear, grace over guilt, courage over comfort. Every day I must remind myself that the voice of bondage still speaks, but it no longer commands. I am no longer its servant. Lord, help me to rebuild life outside the walls I once called safety. Help me to fill the empty space that freedom creates with things that last, with kindness, with patience, with compassion. Because if I do not, the past will try to creep back in, disguised as security. Freedom requires discipline, not to earn it, but to keep it. So train my heart to walk differently, to move slowly, intentionally, gratefully. I do not want to sprint into new battles just because I am free. I want to learn how to rest in liberty, to enjoy the stillness that used to make me anxious, to sit in peace without waiting for pain, to trust joy without suspicion. You are teaching me that freedom is not loud or reckless. It is quiet strength. It is steady steps on sacred ground. You are also teaching me to forgive what freedom cost. Some people stayed in the past when I walked away. Some relationships were built around my bondage, and they do not know what to do with the person I am becoming. It hurts to let them go. But you remind me that letting go does not mean I stop loving them. It means I stop shrinking to keep them comfortable. Freedom sometimes isolates before it connects again. It strips away what was false to make room for what is true. So I ask for courage to keep walking, even when it feels lonely. Help me to trust that this space will not remain empty forever. Help me to believe that you are already preparing people and places aligned with who I am now, not who I was. I want to walk with those who celebrate freedom, not those who fear it. Father, when I stumble, and I know I will remind me that falling does not mean I am bound again. It simply means I am still learning. When I forget and start carrying what you have already lifted, remind me to lay it down quickly when shame tries to return wearing a new name. Help me recognize it and send it away. When the old patterns whisper familiarity, remind me that peace is the better home. Let every step become a declaration of trust. Let every breath be proof that grace still works in me. Let the rhythm of my walking match the beat of your heart. I want to move in sync with you, not ahead, not behind, but beside. Teach me to walk by faith, not fear. To listen to your voice, not the echoes of my past. To live with open hands, not clenched fists. Show me what freedom looks like in ordinary moments, in laughter that feels genuine, in rest that feels safe, in work that feels meaningful. Show me how to bring freedom into my words, so I speak life instead of complaint, into my thoughts, so I dwell on truth, not scarcity, into my actions, so I live with purpose, not performance. Let freedom be more than a feeling. Let it be a lifestyle. I want to use this freedom well, not to chase comfort, but to carry light, to bring hope where there is still darkness, to remind others that the same God who broke my chains still breaks theirs. Let my story not end with deliverance, but with devotion. Let freedom lead to fruitfulness. Let it grow into service. Let it turn outward. Beyond myself, Lord, I do not take this gift lightly. Freedom is costly. It was bought with blood, carried with mercy, guarded by grace. So let me live worthy of it, not in perfection, but in gratitude. Let every decision I make from this point forward reflect the truth that I am no longer a captive. Let how I treat others reveal that I know what it means to be forgiven. Let how I love prove that I have been set free. And when night comes again, and it will when the air feels heavy and fear tries to whisper its old threats, let me remember this morning. Let me remember the light that spilled through the open door, the sound of chains hitting the ground, the peace that wrapped itself around my shoulders. Let me remember that freedom is not something I once received. It is something I carry. Father, help me to carry it well. Let it humble me, not harden me. Let it keep me tender, not proud. Let it remind me that every breath, every step, every new dawn is grace continuing its work. And as I walk into this day, let my soul remember, freedom is not the end of the story, is the beginning of becoming who I was always meant to be in you. Father, freedom feels vast, like standing on a shore after years of being lost at sea. The horizon stretches endlessly, and for the first time, I can breathe without restraint. Yet in this wide space, I feel the quiet call to slow down, to rest, to trust, to listen. Freedom is not only about movement, it is also about stillness, about learning to live without rushing to fill the silence. You have set me free, but now you are teaching me how to dwell in that freedom, to find peace not in what I can control, but in your steady presence. There is a river running through my spirit now. It is calm, clear, gentle. It moves without noise, but everything it touches comes alive. I did not create this river. You did. It flows where striving ends and surrender begins. It is the current of trust, carrying me even when I am unsure of direction. And here, beside these still waters, I feel your hand resting over mine. No commands, no demands, only reassurance, only love that whispers, "Be still, you are safe." I have lived too long reacting to storms. Even when peace came, I expected thunder. I learned to brace myself for the next wave, to never fully relax. But you are not a storm waiting to return. You are peace that stays. You are the calm that does not depend on circumstances. You are the stillness that speaks louder than chaos. So I let my defenses drop. I let my breath deepen. I let my soul unclench its fists. I do not need to anticipate disaster when you are near. I do not need to control the future when you hold it. Trust is not weakness. It is faith resting in motion. It is courage in quiet form. And this morning, I choose that kind of courage. Teach me to trust when I cannot see the outcome. When prayers seem unanswered, when doors remain closed, when the waiting feels endless. Teach me to believe that silence is not absence, that stillness is not abandonment. Remind me that even when nothing seems to move, you are still working beneath the surface. Rivers do not stop because the surface looks calm. They move deep and steady, shaping the unseen places. That is how you work in me. There are days I still want proof. Days when my faith trembles. Days when I want to hold the map instead of following the guide. But you do not shame my uncertainty. You meet it with patience. You remind me that trust grows not in perfection, but in persistence. Every time I choose to believe instead of control, trust deepens. Every time I rest instead of react, faith strengthens. Help me to walk through today unhurried, to notice the quiet ways you speak through sunlight on my face, through laughter that surprises me, through the peace that arrives uninvited. Help me to remember that I am not alone, even when I am still. Let my stillness become a sanctuary, a place where your presence feels tangible. You are teaching me that rest is not laziness. It is reverence. It is the posture of a soul confident in its keeper. It is the refusal to worship worry. It is saying with my life, I trust you even when I cannot trace you. That is the peace I long for, the peace that stays even when questions remain. And yet, trust is not passive. It is active surrender. It is choosing to stand firm when fear whispers run. It is speaking hope when doubt screams loud. It is returning, again and again, to still waters when the world demands noise. It is living from rest, not reaching for it. It is holding faith steady in both abundance and lack. Father, when I forget and start grasping again, when I reach for control or overthink what I cannot fix, draw me back here, to this place of stillness, to this river that does not rush. Remind me that everything good grows in peace, That fruit does not form under stress, but under sunlight and time. That my soul becomes most fruitful when is rooted in calm trust, not frantic effort. Let my mind rest in your wisdom. Let my heart rest in your goodness. Let my body rest in your rhythm. You are the shepherd who leads me beside quiet waters, who restores my soul. You do not drive me with force. You lead me with gentleness. You do not rush. You invite. You do not demand. You draw. And somehow, in that patience, I find strength again. I see now that trust is not just believing you can do something. It is believing you are enough, even if nothing changes yet. It is letting go of timelines. It is surrendering the need to understand. It is opening my hands and saying, even if I cannot see it, I will rest because you are good. That kind of peace cannot be faked. It comes only from knowing you deeply. Lord, make that knowledge grow in me. Let it settle like light in my bones. Let it change how I move through each day. Let me carry quiet confidence into busy moments. Let me speak softly but with conviction. Let me bring calm into the spaces that are tense. Let me live so rooted in trust that even storms envy my peace. If I forget everything else today, let me remember this: you are enough. You are constant when everything else shifts. You are steady when the world trembles. You are here when I am still. And even when the river is unseen, it is flowing. Even when the path feels uncertain, it is held. Even when I do not feel faith rising, it is growing quietly, like a seed beneath the soil. So I sit in this stillness a little longer. I let peace wash over me until it feels like breathing. I let the river of your presence move around and within me. I do not need to hurry. I do not need to fix. I only need to trust that this moment, this quiet, this breath is holy, and you are in it. Lord, when trust finds its rhythm in rest, the soul begins to hear your footsteps again. Not rushing, not demanding, just steady. That gentle cadence pulls me now, not to leap ahead in bold ambition, but to walk with you in quiet obedience, the kind that does not need applause, the kind that does not chase a spotlight, the kind that simply says yes, again and again, in the hidden places where no one sees but you. You are not just the God of my mountaintop moments. You are the God of every small decision, every quiet yes, every time I choose to honor instead of argue, to forgive instead of fight, to believe instead of withdraw. Obedience is not always grand. Sometimes it looks like folding the laundry without resentment. Sometimes it sounds like silence when I want to prove a point. Sometimes it feels like staying when I want to run. But in all of it, you are watching with love, not judgment. You are not keeping score. You are drawing me closer, one choice at a time. So today, let my love for you be measured not by emotion, but by action. Let it be revealed in how I speak when no one records, in how I serve when no one claps, in how I show up again and again to places you have called me. Even when it is hard, I do not want to chase constant novelty. I want to be faithful in the familiar. I want to return to the same table, the same task, the same calling with fresh love and deeper joy. Because obedience is not always thrilling. It is often ordinary, but in that ordinary, you do the extraordinary. You multiply the loaves. You part the sea. You soften hearts. You open doors. And even when none of those things seem to happen, you are still worthy of my yes. You are not a transaction. You are my treasure. I follow not because I expect reward, but because I know your voice, and your voice brings life. There are moments, though, when obedience feels like walking blind, when I cannot see the fruit of faithfulness, when the ground feels dry and the prayers feel unnoticed. And still you whisper, keep going, not because I must earn your love, but because love, real love, keeps walking even in the dark. That is where character is formed, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows where integrity grows. Teach me to obey without delay, to stop making excuses dressed as wisdom, to stop waiting for the perfect moment that never comes, to move when you say move, even if the step is small, even if no one understands, even if it costs me comfort. Let my courage rise not from certainty but from surrender. Let me obey not out of fear of punishment, but out of joy in your presence. You never shame me when I stumble. You steady me. You lift me. You remind me that obedience is not perfection, is pursuit. It is turning back when I have turned away. It is confessing instead of covering. It is returning with tears and finding arms still open. You are the Father who celebrates not just the Son who came home, but every step he took toward home. That is the kind of God you are, so patient, so kind. When I grow tired of doing good, remind me that every seed sown in love finds its season. That even when I feel unseen, you see. That even when I am discouraged, you delight in my effort. That nothing done in faith is wasted, even if I never see its full result. Your economy is not measured in likes or promotions. It is measured in love, in obedience, in faith that keeps walking. And when I hear voices of doubt whisper, why bother? Or you are not enough, let your truth rise louder. Let it drown out every lie. Let it remind me that I am not called to be spectacular. I am called to be surrendered. That obedience is not about fame but faithfulness. That small steps in the right direction still move mountains. Let my heart find joy in the mundane, knowing you meet me there. Let me sweep the floor, make the call, write the note, finish the task not because I must, but because I can serve you through it. Let my hands be faithful even when my feelings fluctuate. Let my feet keep moving even when I do not feel momentum. Let my will be anchored in truth, not trends. You are not in a hurry. You shape slowly, with intention. And in that slowness, obedience has room to take root, to grow deep, to flourish quietly. I do not want to bloom fast and fade. I want to grow steady and strong. Root me in obedience, even when it feels like obscurity. Especially then, for it is in those quiet fields that you often prepare your most powerful harvests. Lord, help me obey even when I am disappointed. When I feel like you did not answer the last prayer, and you are asking for another yes. Help me obey when I do not understand, knowing that trust does not require explanation, it requires connection. And I am connected to you. You are my vine. I do not need to manufacture fruit. I only need to stay near. So as the light of morning stretches wider, let this day be one of quiet obedience. Let it be marked not by noise, but by faithfulness. Let me show up where you have placed me. Let me serve with joy. Let me forgive quickly. Let me speak kindly. Let me surrender fully. Let me obey, not because it is easy, but because you are worthy. You do not rush me, but you do invite me. You do not push me, but you do call me. And in that call is life. In that whisper is strength. In that path is peace. Obedience is not just a duty, it is a dance, a rhythm of love between the Creator and the created. I do not want to miss a single step, so here I am. Again, not with fireworks, not with fanfare, but with open hands and a steady heart. I choose to follow. I choose to stay. I choose to obey. And in this quiet yes, I find a kind of joy that the world cannot steal. Father, even as I say yes to walking in quiet obedience, I realize that so much of my journey unfolds in the in-between. Not the beginning where vision is fresh and energy high, nor the finish line where fulfillment arrives, but the middle place. The long stretch where progress feels invisible, where clarity dims, and where I am tempted to question why I began. Yet in this middle place, you are no less present. You are not pacing impatiently at the end. You are walking beside me here. It is here, in the steady repetition of unseen faithfulness, that I am most vulnerable to weariness. Here, where I look around and see others running ahead or veering off the path with ease. Here, where my heart aches for confirmation, for reward, for a sign that my steps are not in vain. And yet you whisper something deeper than results. You whisper grace, the kind of grace that does not demand performance, but delights in perseverance. I know now that grace is not only what saves me, it is what sustains me. Not just a beginning gift, but daily presence. It wraps around my tired limbs, lifts my drooping shoulders, and steadies my trembling hands. I do not move forward by grit alone. I move because grace carries me. I move because you do not ask me to sprint, you ask me to remain. To remain in you when I am confused. To remain when I feel dry. To remain when nothing around me changes. And grace is not soft or passive. It is strong and steady, like a river that cuts through stone. It does not always feel like wind at my back. Sometimes is the strength beneath my feet when the winds howl against me. Sometimes it is the stillness when everything inside me wants to flee. It holds me when I cannot hold myself. It sings to me when silence grows heavy. It reminds me that I am not defined by my momentum, but by my belonging. So, Father, when the middle feels endless, breathe fresh hope into my lungs. When my hands grow tired from sowing seeds I cannot yet see, show me again that you are the Lord of the harvest. You waste nothing, not one word spoken in love, not one gesture of kindness, not one moment of faithfulness in the shadows. You collect them all like treasure, storing them in unseen places, where they grow in secret until the season is ripe. Teach me to live rooted in your timing, not mine, to believe that slowness does not mean absence, to know that even the waiting is a form of worship. Let me worship you not only with my voice, but with my patience. Let me lift up not only songs, but surrender. I do not need to understand the whole map to keep walking. I only need to trust the one who holds it. There are days, Lord, when I feel I have taken 3 steps forward and 2 back. Days when obedience costs more than I expected, and the outcome is still unclear. Days when faithfulness feels like invisibility, and my heart quietly aches to be seen. But even in that ache, you draw near. You do not shame my longing for significance. You simply remind me that I already matter to you, not because of what I do, but because of who I am, your beloved. Let that truth sink deeper than the applause I chase or the affirmation I crave. Let it free me from comparison and from the pressure to prove. Let it anchor me in peace, so I no longer need to hurry to measure my worth. You already called me chosen. You already called me enough. You already said, "You are mine." And that is enough. In this middle place, where answers are slow and transformation is subtle, help me not to miss the miracles hidden in the ordinary, the smile I offer, the meal I prepare, the quiet prayer whispered in a dim room. These are not small things in your eyes. These are sacred. You see what no one else sees. You bless what no one else applauds. And because of that, I can keep showing up, not out of obligation, but out of love. Give me the eyes to see how deeply you care about process, not just outcome. How you use every stretch of the journey, not only to shape the destination, but to shape me. You are not just preparing a future for me. You are preparing me for the future. And the middle place is your workshop, where humility, endurance, and gentleness are forged. I do not want to rush through it. I want to be formed by it. When discouragement rises, remind me that even Jesus walked the long road, that he too knew fatigue and rejection, that he too waited for things unseen. And yet he endured, not because of earthly reward, but because of the joy set before him. Let me fix my eyes on that joy, not just what lies ahead, but the joy of walking with you now. So if this is the place where you are working, let me stay. Let me be faithful here. Let me not discount the value of today just because it looks like yesterday. Let me not despise small beginnings or steady rhythms. Let me hold tightly to your hand when clarity is scarce and lean on your promises when feelings waver. And even when I do not see the fruit, let me still water the ground. Even when I do not feel progress, let me still take the next step. Even when it costs me comfort, let me still say yes. Because you are not finished. And every day I wake up breathing is evidence that grace is still flowing. Still writing, still unfolding something beautiful in me. You are not hurried, and you are never late. You are weaving a masterpiece with a pace that protects me. So even here, in the long and quiet middle, I trust you. Not because it is easy, but because you are good. Not because I see the full picture, but because I know the painter. And knowing you is enough to keep going. Lord, you have taught me to walk through the middle, to trust in the quiet unfolding. But now I find myself in another kind of place, wilderness not marked by stillness alone, but by barrenness. It is not merely waiting. It is wandering. I do not feel rooted. I do not feel full. I feel like I am surviving on the manna of yesterday, unsure of what today will bring. And still, you are here. You do not abandon me in the dry places. You do not shrink away when the landscape turns rugged and unfamiliar. You meet me in the wilderness, not as a distant observer, but as the one who walks beside me, whispering peace into the wind. There is a certain kind of ache that grows in this place, a deep thirst for direction, for meaning, for a glimpse of something fertile. It is not that I doubt your presence. It is that I long to feel it. My soul searches for you in the silence, in the places where I once felt you easily. But you are teaching me to seek you not only in the ease, but in the empty, to find you not only in revelation, but in remembrance. I remember what you have done before, and that remembrance becomes my song in the desert. You are the God who never wastes wilderness. You do not bring me here to punish me, but to prepare me, to strip away what cannot stay, to draw out what has been hidden, to anchor me not in circumstance, but in you alone. You know how to lead me with fire by night and cloud by day, even when I cannot see the path beyond my next step, even when my surroundings offer no sign of life. You are the source of living water within me. You teach me to drink not from what is around me, but from what you have placed within me, your spirit, alive and active, deeper than my draught. So here I am, Lord, no longer begging for escape, but for endurance, no longer asking for shortcuts, but for strength. Give me eyes to see the sacred in this stretch of sand. Let me be like the tree planted by streams of water, whose roots run deep enough to find you. Even when the surface is scorched, let my worship rise not because everything feels good, but because you are good, because you have never failed me, because you are faithful in famine as well as in feast. There is something quiet and fierce about worship rises from dry ground. It is not loud or polished. It is raw and honest. It is praise through cracked lips. It is gratitude that refuses to die. It is hope that does not make sense. And maybe that is what you long for, not perfect songs, but surrendered hearts. Not clarity, but trust. Not arrival, but abiding. And so I offer you this wilderness as worship. I give you the parts of me that feel stretched and sunburnt, weary and weathered. I give you my questions, not because I expect immediate answers, but because I believe you hold them with care. Sometimes I think wilderness is less about location and more about condition, the heart that has not yet seen what it hopes for, the spirit that feels disconnected, the mind that searches for rest. And yet, you turn even this inner desert into holy ground. You speak here, you refine here, you birth new things here, in places where nothing seems possible. I do not want to miss what you are doing, because I am too focused on what I am lacking. So teach me, Lord, to lean into lack as a doorway to deeper dependence, to see the barren places not as dead ends, but as sacred thresholds. Let me not grumble like those who forget, but worship like those who remember. I remember how you parted seas. I remember how you brought water from a rock. I remember how you fed thousands with little. You are the God of more than enough, even when all I see is not enough. And maybe the purpose of this wilderness is not to test my strength, but to deepen my intimacy with you. In the absence of excess, I find the essence of who you are. In the silence, I can finally hear the heartbeat of heaven. In the hunger, I realize you are the bread that satisfies. In the thirst, I come to know you as my cup overflowing. You are not just the God who leads me out. You are the God who stays in with me. Let my wilderness not be wasted in complaint or despair. Let it become an altar. Let every unanswered question become a place where I place my faith. Let every delay become an invitation to press in, not pull away. I do not want to numb the ache or rush the process. I want to live fully here, trusting that transformation is happening, even when it is unseen. Breathe on this barren ground, and show me the seeds you have planted that are still hidden beneath the surface. Help me to believe that roots are forming where I feel only stillness. That what looks like loss may actually be pruning. That what feels like silence may actually be sacred shaping. You are not absent. You are active in mystery, and I choose to rest in that. I do not need to understand to believe. I do not need to feel to follow. I need only to remember who you are and who I am in you. Your love does not dry up with the seasons. Your promises are not buried by sand. They rise again, like spring in the desert, like rivers in a wasteland, like grace when I thought I had run out. So I will stay here, not with clenched fists, but with open hands, not with fearful eyes, but with steady trust. And when the sun blazes and my steps feel heavy, I will remember that even the wilderness is not void of wonder, that you can make beauty from brokenness, strength from surrender, and songs from silence. And in this very place where nothing seemed to grow, you are doing something new. God, if you are doing something new, then teach me to recognize it even in the heat of refining. The wilderness brought silence, but now I feel the fire. I do not walk through barren plains anymore. I walk through the furnace. It is not desolation that surrounds me now, but pressure, intensity, and the burning away of what cannot last. Still, I trust you are here, not just watching from a distance, but present in the middle of the flame, just as you stood with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. You stand with me not to rescue me from all discomfort, but to reveal yourself in the midst of it. This refining is not a punishment. It is a preparation. You are not destroying me. You are defining me. Every test is a tool in your hand. Every fire is an invitation to become more pure, more real, more yours. You do not take delight in my struggle, but you do take joy in what emerges from it, a faith that is no longer based on what I feel or see, but on who you are when all else is stripped away. The fire does not consume me. It clarifies me. It melts down what is false, what is fragile, what is not built on you, and from it, something enduring begins to rise. I used to pray to be kept from fire, from pressure, from pain. Now I pray to be faithful within it. Let me not fight the flame, but surrender to the work you are doing through it. Let me not resist what you are refining. You know how long I must remain here. You know the temperature that transforms, but does not destroy. You are the master refiner, and you see the image you are shaping. When you look into the furnace, you are not focused on the heat. I believe you are watching for the reflection of your face in me. Sometimes the burning feels unbearable, but perhaps it is not the fire that overwhelms me, but my fear of what it will take away. I hold on too tightly to things that no longer serve your purpose. I cling to comfort as if it were life itself. But you are inviting me to let go, not to lose, but to gain what is lasting, to trade the temporary for the eternal, to surrender the lesser so you can give me the greater. Let the fire purify not just my actions, but my motives, my dreams, my thoughts, my loves. You are not asking me to be unfeeling. You are asking me to be unshakable, to feel the fire and still stay faithful, to know that heat and hardship do not mean you have left. On the contrary, they may mean you are closer than ever. You draw near in the fire. You whisper louder when everything else is silenced by flame. You become clearer when the smoke of distractions begins to lift. And though my flesh may tremble, my spirit remembers you are the God who brings gold from ashes. Refining is not about punishment. It is about purity. You are not trying to make me suffer. You are trying to make me shine. Not for the sake of my image, but for the sake of your glory. You are forming a heart in me that reflects yours, undaunted, unwavering, undivided. You are teaching me that love that is never tested is shallow. The peace that depends on peace around me is fragile. But faith forged in fire is deep. It is durable. It is different. So I surrender to the process. Burn away the fear of man, the idol of control, the love of comfort. Strip me of resentment, of pride disguised as strength, of doubt disguised as caution. Let the parts of me that resist you dissolve in this holy heat. Let me come out of this not harder, but holier, not colder, but clearer, not more self-reliant, but more surrendered. And while I wait in the middle of this refining, help me to worship. Let my worship be fireproof. Let it rise even when my surroundings fall apart. Let my song be born not of ease, but of encounter. You are worth it, even when nothing else makes sense. You are worthy, even when the flames threaten to consume my plans. You remain good, even when the heat intensifies. I believe there is beauty being formed that I cannot yet see. I believe there is a purpose being fulfilled that I cannot yet understand. The furnace is not the end, it is the shaping ground, the place where foundations are tested and truth is revealed, where false things fall away and what matters remains. You are the God of the after the fire, after the testing, after the surrender. But you are also the God of the during. You do not just meet me when it is over. You are with me while it is still burning. Give me eyes that see through smoke. Give me lungs that breathe through trial. Give me hands that still rise in praise, even when they tremble. And if this fire is my portion for now, then let it be a place where faith flourishes. Let it be a ground where roots grow deep. Let it be a holy encounter that reshapes how I see you, how I see myself, how I walk forward from here. I do not want a life untouched by fire. I want a life transformed through it. If this is the cost of becoming more like you, then let it come. If this is the road to deeper intimacy, then I step forward. Burn away what dims your image in me. Burn away what blocks my trust. Burn away what keeps me relying on anything but you. And when I emerge, and it will not be with the smell of smoke, but with the fragrance of faith, not with scorched pride, but with sacred humility, not with bruised ego, but with bold surrender, because you are faithful in the furnace, because you never walk away mid-process, because you see who I am becoming, even when I only see what is burning. So I stay. I yield. I trust the temperature. I believe in the outcome. I fix my eyes not on the flame, but on your face. And I will walk through this not untouched, but undestroyed, because you are with me, and you are working. Father, in the quiet that follows the flame, I sense something I had nearly forgotten: stillness. After the furnace, after the surrender, after the stripping, what remains is not only the purified soul, but the space you have cleared within me. And in that space, stillness settles like morning mist, not silence from emptiness, but stillness from fullness, a stillness born not of absence, but of assurance. I do not have to run or fix or force, I only have to be. And you will be all. You whisper into this stillness, and I finally hear, not because you speak louder now, but because my resistance is quieter. The chaos within has hushed. The striving has slowed. What once demanded noise now bows to peace. You are not a God who shouts over storms. You are a Father who stills them, and sometimes the storm you quiet first is the one inside me. I used to think strength looked like movement, like unceasing action, like constant momentum. But here, in the holy hush, I learn that strength also looks like rest. Not escape, not passivity, but the kind of rest that anchors deep. It is the strength of still water that runs deep beneath the surface. It is the strength of roots that grow not in chaos, but in calm soil. This stillness is not stagnation. It is sanctification. You teach me that stillness is not something I achieve by effort. It is something I allow by surrender. When I stop trying to carry what only you can hold, peace flows in. When I stop trying to force what only you can unfold, clarity comes. You are the shepherd who makes me lie down. You do not demand movement when what I need is to dwell. You do not ask me to march when you are asking me to kneel. In this stillness, you restore my soul. The world says to rush, to rise early and stay up late, to hustle and conquer. But you invite me to abide, not to quit, but to trust, not to delay, but to dwell. This stillness is where my strength is renewed, not in the noise, not in the chase, but in the knowing. In knowing that I am held even when I pause, that I am loved even when I am not producing, that I am valuable even when I am unseen. You do not need my performance. You desire my presence. Stillness is a holy rebellion against fear, because fear says I must always be moving to outrun failure, but faith says I can stop and still be safe. In stillness, I stop reacting and start receiving. I stop spinning and start seeing. I stop panicking and start praying. And you meet me not with pressure, but with peace. In this space, I rediscover your nearness. You were always close, but I was too loud to notice. Now, my spirit sits in quiet reverence. I do not come to impress or to ask, I come to dwell. I inhale the breath of your calm and exhale every clenched worry. My heartbeat slows to the rhythm of grace. My mind is no longer at war with itself. My body loosens its armor. and you fill all the emptied corners with presence. This is where I learned to wait not as one forgotten, but as one held, not as one cast aside, but as one cherished. The waiting does not drain me when I know who I wait with. The waiting does not break me when it becomes the place of encounter. Stillness is not the delay of purpose. It is the preparation of promise. You do not lead me into stillness to leave me. You lead me into stillness to steady me. Let this stillness become sacred ground, a place where I no longer wrestle, but rest, a place where my prayers are less about words and more about wonder, a place where I do not strive to hear your voice. I simply sit long enough to recognize that you have been speaking all along. You are not in the earthquake, or the whirlwind, or the fire alone, but in the gentle whisper that comes after. That whisper does not command attention by volume. It commands attention by intimacy. And only in stillness can I hear it clearly. So let this hush become my home. Let this unhurried space become my altar. Let my soul learn to breathe again. Even as life resumes, let the stillness remain inside. Let it become the well I return to in chaos. The quiet beneath the current. The unshaken place that circumstances cannot touch. This stillness is not fragile, it is fierce. It does not fold under pressure. It anchors deeper when waves rise. It is not shallow peace that flees when trials come. It is the deep assurance of your unchanging presence. Teach me to return here often, not just in mornings, but in moments. To carry stillness into the noise. To protect it like treasure. Let me never grow addicted to hurry again. Let me never crave noise more than your nearness. Let stillness become not just a refuge, but a rhythm. You did not rush creation, and you do not rush me. You unfold all things in due time. You lead me beside still waters, because you want more than movement. You want intimacy. You want trust. You want the kind of relationship that is not based on how fast I go, but how deeply I stay. And in this stillness, I stay, not to hide from the world, but to hear you in it, not to pause forever, but to be prepared. For even Jesus withdrew to lonely places. To stillness, to be with you. And if he needed it, then how much more do I? Let me never trade this stillness for applause. Let me never sacrifice it for the illusion of control. Let me guard this peace, this hush, this holy space with everything in me. Here, I am strengthened not by striving, but by surrender, and I will walk forward not faster, but fuller, not louder, but deeper, not anxious, but anchored, because stillness is not what I lose time in, it is where I gain eternity. And you are here, in the quiet, always waiting, always speaking, always enough, God. From the stillness you taught me to love, I now rise not in haste, not in fear, but in the courage you have quietly built within me, like roots that deepen beneath the surface while no one watched. You have been shaping in me a strength that is not loud, but lasting. I step forward today not because I have figured everything out, but because I know you walk with me. The courage to rise again is not about the absence of trembling, but the presence of trust. There were seasons where I could barely lift my head, days where darkness clung to me like fog. Yet you never rushed me. You stayed. You let me breathe slow, and in that breath, courage began to grow, first fragile, then steady. You did not demand that I leap. You only asked that I lean into you, lean into grace, lean into the truth that even when I had nothing left, I was never without your love. This morning, I rise, not like a warrior with a sword, but like a child who knows their hand is held. I rise not because the path is easy, because I have been reminded that the one who calls me is faithful. I do not rise with answers, I rise with surrender. I do not rise with certainty, I rise with expectancy. I rise because you are my strength, and strength from you is never in vain. You have been rewriting what courage means to me. No longer a mask I wear, but a movement of the heart that chooses truth over fear, that chooses healing over hiding, that chooses obedience over comfort. Courage is not the roar in the crowded, is the whisper that says, "Try again." And you are the God who places that whisper inside me. Each time I have fallen, I feared I was finished, but you never said that. You called me beloved, not broken. You called me chosen, not cast away. You saw every fracture, and you stayed. You saw every doubt, and you did not draw back. You welcomed my questions. You held my tears. And now you stand before me, not with shame, but with invitation. An invitation to begin again. Today is not just another day, it is a new beginning. A canvas you have cleared with mercy, a path you have paved with purpose. The mistakes of yesterday do not define me. The pain of the past does not chain me. I am free to rise, not because I deserve it, but because grace declares it. You give me new mercy not just to survive, but to soar. You remind me that rising is not always visible. Sometimes it is a decision made in the quiet, a turning of the heart, a yes whispered in the dark. Sometimes rising looks like forgiving again, trusting again, loving again when it would be easier to stay numb. And you give me the courage for all of it. You do not just call me to rise, you lift me. You do not just cheer from afar, you walk beside me. You do not just send me, you go before me. Every step I take today, you have already seen. Every challenge that waits, you have already made a way through. And when I feel like shrinking back, you will be there with gentle strength, reminding me that I was not created to retreat, I was created to reflect you. Let my life become a testimony of rising. Not perfection, but persistence. Not power, but presence. Let others see that it is not by might or by skill, but by your Spirit that I live again. May they see the cracks and know that it was your light that filled them. May they see the tremble and know that it was your love that steadied me. I do not rise today with pride. I rise with reverence. Reverence for the journey. Reverence for the healing. Reverence for the grace that has carried me through valleys deeper than words. I rise not as one who has conquered life, but as one who has been cradled in mercy. That is my courage, not what I have done, but who you have been. As I rise, May I carry the courage to be kind in a world that is sharp, to be generous in a world that hoards, to be gentle when anger seems easier, to be honest when hiding feels safer. Give me the boldness to live fully present, to love without fear, to speak life even when I am tired. Let me be known not for how high I climb, but for how deeply I care. Help me to forgive again, not only others, but also myself. Help me to believe that redemption is not a one-time gift, but a rhythm of resurrection. When I stumble again, remind me that courage is not erased by failure, it is refined by it. You use even the falling to teach me how to fly. You waste nothing, not even the moments I thought were too far gone. I want to be brave enough to hope again, not because circumstances have changed, but because I believe you still write good stories, even in the middle, even after the detours. I want to look at today and see not the weight of what could go wrong, but the wonder of what you might do. Fill my eyes with vision. Fill my steps with boldness. Fill my breath with your presence. Let me rise in my spirit even when I am still waiting the natural. Let my inner posture be one of courage. Even when the outer world wavers, I rise in joy. I rise in gratitude. I rise in peace that does not hinge on answers, but on abiding. You are with me. You are for me. You are enough. This courage is not mine to keep, is mine to carry and pour into others. As I rise, let me lift. Let my presence give others permission to rise as well. Let my life declare that brokenness is not the end, that grace is greater, that God is near, that every day can be the first page of a new beginning. You are not a God of final chapters. You are a God of unfolding redemption, and I rise today not to impress, but to participate in the ongoing miracle of being made new again and again. No matter how many times I have sat in ashes, you call me higher. And today, I answer that call not with loud declarations, but with a quiet, courageous yes. Father, yesterday, I rose with courage, trusting in the quiet strength you placed in me. And today, as that same light settles upon my shoulders, I realize that courage alone cannot carry me forward unless I release what still weighs me down. Forgiveness is not an emotion I can wait for. It is a choice, a surrender, a turning of my hands from clenched pain to open grace. And so I come to you with what I cannot let go on my own. You have never asked me to pretend I was not wounded. You have never shamed me for the tears I could not stop, or the anger I could not silence. Instead, you have waited patiently for me to bring those wounds into the light. You have whispered not just of healing, but of freedom. And I now understand. Freedom begins where bitterness ends. You are not only the God of justice, but the God of release. You want to unburden me not by denying the hurt, by redeeming it. I confess. Father, there are memories I revisit more often than I should. Not because I want to relive them, but because they refuse to leave me. I still feel the sting of words that cut deep. I still recoil from the betrayal I did not see coming. Some wounds have faded. Others still throb quietly in the corners of my heart. And yet, you tell me that forgiveness is the path to peace, not the reward for healing. I do not need to wait until it no longer hurts to forgive. I can choose now. not because they deserve it, because you have forgiven me so completely. Teach me how to forgive not with clenched teeth, but with surrendered will. Let my forgiveness not be passive, but powerful. Not hollow, but holy. Not a gift I extend only when I feel strong enough, but a river that flows because I remain in you. Let me release what I cannot rewrite. Let me let go of the debts I have held on to, as if holding them could restore anything lost. You are the restorer, not resentment. And Father, help me also forgive myself. The nights I replayed with regret, the words I wish I could unspeak, the decisions made in fear or pride or confusion. I have been harshest with myself, as if punishing my own soul could prove repentance. But you never asked for penance. You asked for surrender. You offer restoration, not reminders of failure. You cover shame with compassion. You trade guilt for grace. And today, I long to live in that freedom. Let forgiveness not be a one-time act, but a posture I carry, a lens through which I see others, not as enemies or obstacles, but as fellow travelers in need of grace, just like me. Let it not end with my own healing, but flow outward to those still tangled in chains. Use my life to model the miracle of release. Let people sense freedom not just in my words, but in the lightness of my presence. Let them hear love in the silence where bitterness once lived. I know now that unforgiveness builds walls, not safety. It isolates me from joy, from connection, and even from you. But in forgiveness, there is space again for laughter, for trust, for hope. There is space for the sacred work of rebuilding. Even if the relationship is never restored, let the residue of resentment be washed away. Let my memory no longer be a minefield, but a meadow where you have planted lessons and new beginnings. Father, there is power in letting go, but also fear. Fear that if I release them, the pain will have no meaning. Fear that my silence will be mistaken for weakness. But you remind me that forgiveness does not erase truth. It honors it. It says, yes, this mattered, but it will not master me. Forgiveness does not justify wrong, it magnifies grace. It says, this broke me, but I will not stay broken. Help me forgive those who never said sorry. Help me forgive those who still do not understand what they did. Help me forgive those who took what they can never return. And help me do it not out of pride, but out of love, out of reverence for the mercy that saved me. Let my forgiveness be real, not rehearsed, full, not filtered. Let it be the fragrance I leave behind in every room I exit. When anger rises again, when the memories come knocking in the quiet hours, teach me to return to forgiveness like a well-worn path. Help me remember that forgiving once is an opening, but forgiving again and again is transformation. That is how you love me, not with a one-time mercy, but with daily compassion. Let me mirror that rhythm in my own life. And when I see others walking in their own wrestling, carrying betrayals, losses, wounds that bleed unseen, give me the wisdom to walk beside them gently, not pushing, not preaching, but simply being a presence of peace, Let my own journey be a quiet invitation, not a loud declaration. Let it be said that I am one who let things go, before they grew too heavy to carry. There is nothing passive about peace. It is the fiercest kind of freedom. It is the boldness to say, I will not be ruled by pain. It is the choice to break the cycle, to answer insult with silence, to meet offense with compassion, to walk away from what invites me to hate, and instead, to kneel and pray for the one who hurt me. That is not weakness. That is a holy defiance. Lord, I know that as I forgive, I make space for joy to return, for purpose to take root again, for love to breathe deep. I refuse to carry what you already died to lift from me. I refuse to let what they did become who I am. I am not the pain. I am the healed. I am not the victim. I am the redeemed. I am not the past. I am the unfolding miracle of mercy. As the day opens before me, I ask you to walk with me into this freedom, to remind me when my grip tightens, that healing grows where hatred ends, that my heart is not a courtroom, but a temple, that justice is yours, and peace is my portion. You do not call me to forget. You call me to remember differently, to remember with grace, to release with love. Let my life sing of second chances. Let it hum with quiet strength. Let it be a story of release, not revenge. Let it echo with the softest, strongest kind of power, the power of one who was once captive by pain, but now walks in the boundless, breathless, holy freedom of forgiveness. Lord, in the quiet wake of release, where forgiveness has softened my breath and lightened the weight I once carried, I find myself craving stillness, not merely the absence of sound, but the kind of stillness that listens, that leans into silence not as a void, but as a sanctuary. I come before you not to speak first, but to hear, not to perform, but to dwell, to be still and know that you are here. There is a subtle hunger in me that noise can satisfy. I once tried to fill it with effort, with noise, with movement. I confused activity with intimacy, thinking if I did enough, you would draw near. But you were already near. It was in the stillness that you waited, not hidden, just patient, not distant, just quiet. And now, in the aftermath of healing, I no longer need to shout to be heard. I only need to sit and stay. God, teach me to linger without agenda, to sit in the hush of morning, without rushing into what is next. Let your nearness be more than a moment. I want it to become the atmosphere I breathe. Train my heart to recognize your whisper, to be attuned not only to thunderous miracles, but to the subtle shift of peace when you enter a room. I do not want to miss you because I was distracted by my own words. I admit I have often filled the silence because I feared what I would feel without the noise. But now, I realize you speak most clearly when I stop trying to control the moment. In the stillness, I am fully seen and fully safe. You do not require performance, only presence. I come to you not as a servant eager to prove worth, but as a child whose quiet company you cherish. I no longer fear silence when you are in it. Let this morning be a slow unfolding, not a sprint toward outcomes, but a holy pause, The world will roar soon enough. My mind will want to run. My body will feel the pressure of time. But in this sacred breath, I choose to resist the current, to rest in you, to listen not just with ears, but with trust. Speak to my spirit in ways beyond words. Let truth take root in silence before it is spoken aloud. Even creation teaches me this rhythm. The trees do not hurry their bloom. The wind does not force its way. The sun rises quietly and still commands all of nature to respond. Let me learn from these gentle giants. Let me practice stillness not as idleness, but as reverence. In the hush of early light, let me sense your movement beneath all things. Let me hear the heartbeat of heaven pulsing through every moment. Father, I know now that stillness is not a pause from purpose. It is a part of it. Just as a song finds meaning in its rests, my life finds alignment in silence. Without this anchoring, my actions become noise, but with it, my days unfold with clarity. Stillness helps me remember who I am before the world tries to define me. It helps me return to the center, where you are always waiting. Let me not fear what rises in stillness, the unresolved grief, the unspoken longing, the questions without quick answers. You are not afraid of my depths. You do not shame me for having layers. You made me with a soul deep enough to need silence. Let me not rush past it. Let me let it do its work, clearing space for wisdom. Shaping humility. Nurturing resilience. Let it strip away the clutter so that truth can echo freely. And in that truth, let me hear your voice, not always as answers, but as presence. Not always as direction, but as reassurance. You do not only speak in command, you speak in comfort, in delight, in invitation. Your words are not hurried. They unfold like morning light, soft at first, then radiant. I do not need to strain to catch them. I need only to remain. There is healing in this unhurried presence. My breath slows, my shoulders lower, my spirit softens. I do not come to you to escape my life, but to live it rightly. You recalibrate my vision, not by force, but by stillness. You quiet my fears not by erasing the storm, but by anchoring me in yourself. You are not the absence of struggle. You are the peace within it. Let this stillness teach me how to carry you with me, how to bring calm into conversations, how to pause before reacting, how to listen fully before answering, how to resist the urge to fill every space with noise or proof. Let it transform the way I walk, the way I wait, the way I pray. Not everything needs to be said. Not every moment needs to be filled. There is power in restraint, holiness in quiet. And in this stillness, let gratitude rise, not loud or elaborate, but sincere. Thank you for breath that slows, for thoughts that settle, for moments that stretch gently open. Thank you for being a God who is not in a rush, who waits for me to notice, who does not demand attention, but gently draws it, who is not louder than my distractions, but more faithful than them. When the world tempts me to equate stillness with stagnation, remind me that even when I sit, you are still moving, that the unseen work is often the most sacred. Roots grow in silence. Seeds germinate in dark soil. Transformation happens not in noise, but in deep, quiet surrender. Let me trust what I cannot see growing beneath the surface. And when I do rise from this moment, let stillness remain in me like a rhythm under every step. Let it be the pace of my spirit. Let it tether me when the world tugs too hard. Let it remind me that I was not made to chase every echo, but to respond only to your voice. That I am not built for burnout, but for abiding. So I will stay a little longer, Lord, not because I must, but because I can. Because this stillness is not empty, it is full of you. It holds the hush before revelation, the breath before creation, the pause before promise. And in it, I remember what matters. I remember that I am held. I remember that you are near. Father, from the silence where stillness deepened my trust, I now step gently into the unknown ahead, not with frantic steps or clenched fists, but with a courage that waits, a courage that believes without needing to see, a courage that listens longer than it speaks. I have not been called to rush or to conquer, but to remain faithful even when the path is dim. This is not the courage of warriors who charge into battle. It is the quiet bravery of staying when it would be easier to run, of believing when there is no evidence, of holding peace when fear begs for panic. You, Lord, are the anchor beneath my waiting. You are not the voice that demands answers, but the presence that steadies my soul when answers are slow to come. I once thought courage meant constant motion, but I am learning that holy courage sometimes sits still. Sometimes it is content to whisper. Even now, I trust you. I do not have to roar to be brave. I do not have to prove my faith to possess it. I simply have to stand heart open, eyes lifted where you placed me, and keep standing even when the wind tries to move me. Let this morning be the soil where such courage grows, not brittle or hardened, but supple and rooted. I do not want to be bold in appearance only, bluffing my way through fear. I want to be brave in my surrender, honest in my trembling, and willing to keep going even if each step is small. The world celebrates loud victories, but you see the hidden ones, the decision to trust again, the choice to get out of bed, the refusal to give up hope when nothing looks different yet. God, I need you to be my confidence, not the kind that shouts from rooftops, but the kind that sings quietly in the dark. Let my courage be carved not from pride, but from intimacy with you. Let it rise not from self-assurance, but from deep assurance that you are who you say you are. Even when my plans unravel, your faithfulness remains. Even when the map disappears, you remain my compass. I will follow not because I know the route, but because I know the one who walks with me. When fear whispers the familiar script of failure, let your voice be louder not in volume, but in authority. Let me hear you say again, do not be afraid, for I am with you. Let that promise echo deeper than doubt. You do not promise a painless road, but you promise presence. And your presence is courage to me. When I am unsure what is next, I can still be certain of you. There are things I carry into this day that I do not fully understand, questions I cannot answer, doors that remain unopened. But I choose not to define today by what I lack. I choose instead to mark it by faith, by what I believe even before the fruit appears. I will not curse the seed just because the bloom is delayed. You are the God of slow miracles, of quiet unveilings, of purpose that takes root in dark soil. Let my courage be patient. Let it wait without bitterness. Let it trust the timing even when I do not grasp the reason. You are not careless with the unfolding of my story. You are meticulous, precise, and merciful. I may not see how the threads are weaving, but you do. You are not rushed. You are not panicked. And if you are not worried, then I do not need to be. Father, help me be brave enough to be small, to not need grand gestures to prove faith, to not measure progress by applause or speed. Some of the strongest courage is quiet. It shows up without an audience. It keeps loving when it is not returned. It keeps serving when it is not recognized. It keeps praying when the heavens feel silent. That kind of courage breaks chains. That kind of courage changes atmospheres. Even now, as I breathe in this morning, let your courage rise in me like steady flame, not flashing wildly, but burning long. Let it warm every frozen part of my heart. Let it soften what has grown cynical. Let it rekindle the belief that good things are still possible, that healing is still coming, that promises still stand. I do not walk alone, even if the road feels narrow. Help me walk with holy defiance against despair. Help me say no to hopelessness, not because I feel strong, but because you are strong in me. Help me hold fast to what is true, even when circumstances contradict it. Let my heart remember what my eyes forget, that you are not finished, that you never abandoned what you began, that what looks like delay may be your preparation. And when I feel the weight of waiting press on my chest, let me lean harder into grace. Let me breathe deeper of mercy. Let me remember that my strength is not in proving myself, but in returning to you again and again. You are the source. You are the fire that never burns out, the well that never runs dry. You are my bravery when I have none left. Let me not resent the stretch of faith. Let me see it as invitation to trust deeper, to grow stronger, to live freer. Let me not wait with clenched fists, but with open hands, not with bitterness, but with expectancy, not with resignation, but with praise. Let me declare, even now, before the breakthrough comes, that you are good and you are faithful. And if today I must walk with trembling steps, let them still be steps forward. If today I must pray through tears, let them still be prayers. Let nothing be wasted, not my questions, not my weakness, not even my fear. You use it all. You meet me in the cracks, and you shine through them. You remind me that courage is not the absence of fear, but the presence of trust. So I will wait, Father, not passively, with purpose, not hopelessly, but with hope anchored in you. I will keep showing up, keep believing, keep lifting my eyes to where my help comes from. And I will call this courage, the quiet kind, the rooted kind, the kind that does not need to shout to prove it is alive, the kind that stands in silence, confident that you are still writing beauty into every page. Lord, as I step forward in the courage you stirred within me, I feel the gentle hand of faith lifting me from the soil of uncertainty. I do not walk because I see every turn, but because I believe you are already at the destination, calling me onward. It is not the clarity of the path that sustains me, but the certainty of your presence beside me. Even when the fog settles low and the way narrows, I hold fast to this invisible tether, my trust in you. You are not far off, watching from a distant hilltop. You are here, in the details I do not yet understand, in the delays I would rather avoid, in the moments that test what I claim to believe. Faith, I am learning, is not loud or theatrical. It is quiet, sometimes trembling, but always anchored. It rises before the sun and whispers, I believe. Still, it clings to your word when nothing else makes sense. It chooses to walk even when the ground beneath feels fragile. I confess that I want to see. I crave signs, flashes of reassurance, tangible outcomes that prove I am not lost. But you call me higher, to a faith not built on sight, but on knowing who you are, a faith that does not demand evidence, only presence, a faith that rests not in what is seen, but in what is promised. And you have never broken a promise. Let this faith rise in me today, not as a forced optimism, but as a deep surrender. I do not have to pretend. I do not need to smile through the storm. I need only to lift my hands, open my heart, and say, yes, I believe you. Still, even if the answers delay, even if the doors remain closed, even if the season stretches longer than expected, I choose to believe that you are good, that you are working, and that you are near. Father, build in me a faith that can endure the long nights, a faith that keeps showing up even when the feelings fade, a faith that sees through the eyes of the Spirit, not the flesh. Let it rise slowly, like light through fog, sure, steady, soft. Let it fill the gaps where doubt used to echo. Let it silence the voice that says, you are alone. I am not alone. You are here, in every breath, every moment, every pause between prayers. Teach me to trust not just in what you can do, but in who you are. You are the God who never sleeps, the shepherd who never forgets a single lamb. You are not pacing the heavens, unsure of what to do. You are steady, sovereign, kind, and because of that, I can rest even when I do not yet understand. Let my faith rest in the simplicity of knowing you love me, completely and without condition. When the world spins loud and fast, help me stay rooted. Let my trust not be dictated by trends or timing. Let it be shaped in the secret place, where my soul meets your whisper. You are not looking for polished prayers. You delight in honest hearts. So here I am, uncertain, perhaps, but available, willing to believe again, willing to step forward without a map, as long as you lead. Let my faith be resilient, Lord, not rigid or brittle, but flexible and alive. Let it bend with the winds of change without breaking. Let it grow in adversity, not shrink. Let it shine not because life is easy, but because your light lives in me. Make me a vessel of belief in a world that doubts everything. Let me carry quiet hope into rooms full of fear. Let me be a reflection of your steadiness in unstable places. Help me forgive myself for the days I doubted, For the nights I questioned everything. For the moments I asked why. You never turned away. You welcomed the wrestling. You sat beside my confusion and stayed. That is who you are, not a distant deity demanding blind allegiance, but a tender father who walks with me through every shadow. I do not need to have all the answers. I just need to stay close, to keep reaching, to keep breathing out fear and breathing in grace. You are not in a rush. You are not impatient with my process. So I won't be either. I will walk at your pace, even when it is slower than I prefer. I will trust that the unseen roots are growing, even when nothing appears on the surface yet. Let my life be shaped by a faith that waits well, a faith that believes without needing applause, a faith that shows up in the little things, how I speak, how I listen, how I serve, how I stay kind when it is easier to be cold. Let that be the testimony, that I believed you when no one else did, that I held on when everything said to let go. God, remind me that faith is not a finish line, but a daily choice. Today, I choose to believe again, not because everything makes sense, but because you are worthy of my trust. I may not understand your ways, but I know your heart, and that is enough. You are love, you are wisdom, you are peace, and you are mine. Strengthen the parts of me that are still fragile. Water the seeds of hope I almost abandoned. Shine your light on the places I kept hidden, afraid they would disqualify me. You are not surprised by my humanity. You designed me with compassion. You knew I would struggle, and you chose me anyway. That is grace. That is why I can lift my eyes today. I carry this faith not because I am strong, but because you are. I hold it not as a badge, but as a lifeline. It is the thread that ties me to eternity. It is the lens through which I now see everything differently. Pain no longer wins. Fear no longer owns me. Disappointment no longer defines me. Because you live, I can believe again, not just in you, but in the future you hold for me. So, with the rising of this new day, let a fresh faith rise with it. Let it illuminate my choices, my relationships, my prayers. Let it guard my mind from anxiety and fill my words with peace. Let it carry me when I falter. Let it speak louder than my doubts. Let it be the rhythm beneath my steps, the warmth in my waiting, the song I hum when all is quiet. I will walk by faith, not by sight. And in that walking, I will find joy, not the shallow joy of everything going my way, but the deep joy of knowing I am never forsaken, that I am seen, that I am loved, and that I am being led even through unseen places into a goodness that is greater than I can imagine. Father, as faith has become the quiet current beneath each step, I now feel its gentle pull leading me toward surrender, not as a gesture of defeat, but as the deepest form of trust. Yesterday I learned to believe without seeing. Today I long to rest in what cannot be controlled. There is peace I am discovering, not in holding on, but in letting go into you. Let this surrender not be passive or careless, but sacred. Let it be a choice birthed from faith, not fear. I surrender not because I have run out of options, but because I see that my striving cannot produce what only your presence can. I have wrestled, I have reached, I have reasoned, and now I release. My plans, my pace, my performance, my pain, I lay them all at your feet, not in despair, but in reverence. You do not shame me for coming undone. You welcome the unraveling because you know how to weave something holy from the threads of my release. Where the world tells me to stay in control, you whisper a different way, the way of rest. Not the rest of inaction, but the rest of alignment. The kind that comes from being held by someone greater than the storm. Lord, let surrender become the soil where my strength takes root. Not strength measured by outward success, but strength proven in quiet confidence. A strength that stands still in the face of chaos, anchored not in outcomes but in identity. I am yours. That is unshakable. I do not have to prove anything to earn your attention. I already have it. You are not moved by my performance, but by my presence. You do not require perfection, only honesty. So here I am again. Father, unclenching my fists, releasing what I cannot carry, letting you be the God you have always been, faithful, wise, near. I surrender the timing of what I long for. I surrender the pressure to understand. I surrender the fear that tells me I am running out of time. Your timeline is not broken. Your pace is not late. What feels like delay to me is often divine protection. Help me walk away from the illusion that I am in control, not as an act of weakness, but as the purest declaration of strength. When I try to carry what only you can hold, I trade peace for panic, but when I place it back in your hands, I find breath again, space again, clarity again. Let surrender become my posture, not just in crisis, but in the everyday. Let it lead how I love, how I respond, how I wait, how I pray. God, I surrender even the need to feel strong. Some days I am tired in ways that words cannot explain. Tired from pretending, from pushing, from trying to be everything for everyone. But you do not need me to be endless. You are the endless one. You are my enough when I am empty, my refuge when I am overwhelmed. You do not despise my weariness. You meet me in it. Remind me that surrender does not mean silence. I can still speak my hopes, ask my questions, bring my tears. Surrender simply means I no longer carry them alone. I place them in the care of a Father who knows the end from the beginning, who sees what I cannot, who prepares what I would never have thought to ask for, who loves me too much to give me what I want before I am ready. Let surrender soften the hard places within me, the places hardened by disappointment, by striving, by survival. Let it reintroduce me to grace, the kind that restores before it expects, the kind that gently invites me to return, not because I have failed, but because I am loved. Let surrender strip away the layers of self-reliance that never truly protected me, and clothe me instead with the quiet strength of dependence on you. This is not resignation. This is revolution, a quiet rebellion against the rush, the pressure, the comparison. I am not racing anyone. I am walking with you, and in this walk, surrender becomes the rhythm, one breath at a time, one release at a time. I lay down my need to be seen, my fear of being forgotten, my longing to arrive somewhere faster. You see me. You have not forgotten, and you are in no hurry with the ones you love. Father, shape in me the courage to trust you, even with what hurts. I surrender the unanswered questions, the unresolved endings, the words I never got to say. I surrender the doors that closed without warning, and the ones that have yet to open. I surrender the chapters that did not end the way I hoped. I surrender the parts of my story that still sting. And I believe you are the God who heals as he holds. Let my surrender make space for joy, not the fleeting kind that depends on circumstances, but the deep, abiding joy that comes from knowing I am not carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders, that you are with me in every unknown, that you never leave mid-process, that what you begin, you are faithful to complete. Teach me to surrender not just once, but daily, when the anxiety returns, when the control creeps back in, when the temptation to grip tightly resurfaces. Let surrender be my first response, not my last resort. Let it become the pattern of my soul, the holy habit that reshapes how I live. Not reactive, but rooted. Not frantic, but faithful. Not grasping, but giving. I am not surrendering to fate. I am surrendering to the one who formed me, who calls me by name, who walks with me through fire and does not flinch. You are not fragile with my fears. You are not surprised by my surrender. You welcome it, and you respond with presence. So I surrender today, not because everything is clear, but because you are here. That is enough. I place my heart, my future, my uncertainties, and my dreams into your hands, not with reluctance, but with reverence, not with fear, but with trust, not to abandon them, but to see them transformed by your touch. Let this act of surrender become my strength. Let it ground me in peace. Let it lead me into rest. Let it anchor my soul when storms rise again. I do not have to fight for control. I need only to rest in your sovereignty, to breathe in your presence, to lean on the everlasting arms that never grow weary. Here, in this stillness, I find what striving could never give. Here, in surrender, I begin again, and it is enough, Lord, when surrender settles into my soul like a steady breath. It creates space for courage to grow, not the loud kind that seeks to prove something, but the quiet bravery that chooses the light even when the shadows still linger. From the stillness of letting go, a new strength rises. I do not need to force it, for it emerges like dawn, subtle yet unstoppable. You are the light, and you do not merely shine over me, but through me. As I step from surrender into movement, guide my steps toward what is true, what is lasting, what reflects your goodness. I no longer want to live half-hidden, dimmed by fear or restrained by doubt. I want to live fully awake, fully honest, fully anchored in who you are and who you are calling me to become. There was a time I feared the light. I feared what it would expose in me, what it might ask me to change, what it might invite me to release. But now I see it is not there to shame me. It is there to free me. In the radiance of your truth, nothing is wasted. Even my flaws become the places where grace lands most deeply. Even my cracks are lit up with purpose. So let me walk in your light today. Let it shape my words, my choices, my silence, my presence. Let it shine not only in the large moments, but in the smallest ones, how I greet a stranger, how I listen without distraction, how I pause to notice beauty in what the world might overlook. Let the light make me gentle. Let it make me wise. Let it make me willing to grow even when growth is uncomfortable. God, you never called me to shine from my own brilliance. You are the source. I am the vessel. And that truth is a comfort, not a burden. I do not have to know everything, say everything, or be everything. I only need to reflect you. When I stay close to your presence, the light will take care of itself. It will shine through the cracks. It will reach places I cannot reach. Let courage be my companion, not the kind shaped by applause, but the kind forged in intimacy with you. Courage to face what I would rather avoid. Courage to forgive without receiving closure. Courage to try again even after disappointment. Courage to be kind in a world that prizes hardness. Courage to hope in what I cannot yet see. Courage to live free, not just in theory, but in every small, unseen act of faithfulness. There are days when darkness presses in, when headlines scream chaos, when my own thoughts spiral with what-ifs and maybes. On those days, remind me that light is not a feeling. It is a fact. It is a person. It is you. And you are never diminished by the night. You are never absent in the silence. Even when I cannot sense you, you remain. Unchanging. Unshaken. Unfailingly near. Father, let the light be my language. Let it teach me how to speak blessing over bitterness, how to carry compassion where anger wants to take root, how to resist cynicism with relentless gratitude. Even when I stumble, even when I doubt, bring me back into alignment with you. Your mercy is not a one-time invitation. It meets me again and again, renewing the journey, refreshing the soul. As I move through this day, protect me from the temptation to perform. I am not a spotlight chaser. I am a light bearer, and that changes everything. I do not need to outshine anyone. I do not need to prove my worth. My value is not in how brightly I appear, but in how deeply I remain in you. Let that truth settle like morning dew across the fields of my mind, softening every anxious edge. Teach me to trust the timing of light. Not everything needs to be rushed into clarity. Some things are revealed slowly, like the sun rising inch by inch, coloring the sky in stages. Let me be patient with process. Let me honor the sacred unfolding. I do not want to force open doors you have gently asked me to wait beside. I do not want to sprint ahead of grace. There is a light that waits for me not only on mountaintops, but in the valley, not only in healing, but in heartbreak, not only in certainty, but in trust. You are not limited to my ideal outcomes. You meet me in the real, in the raw, in the in-between. That is where light often breaks in the most beautifully, where the cracks are wide enough for it to seep through like gold. Lord, today I want to be fully present to the conversation in front of me, to the H that needs compassion, to the whisper that says, "This matters." Help me see the divine in the ordinary, the miracle in the mundane, the light tucked inside the moment I almost hurried past. Let me not wait for perfect conditions to shine. Let me shine in the now, as I am, where I am. If the world grows darker around me, let it not harden my heart. Let it awaken my lamp. Let it draw from me a deeper kindness, a braver hope, a more resilient joy. I was not made to mirror despair. I was made to reflect the light that cannot be overcome. When I forget that, gently remind me. When I grow weary, lift my chin again to the morning sky, and let me remember who I am in you. You have placed light in me not to hoard, but to share it. Not to hide it behind worry, but to let it spill freely in every encounter, every prayer, every choice. It is not mine to contain. It is yours to multiply. Let me become less concerned with being seen, and more committed to making others feel seen. Let me live in such a way that others remember how deeply they are loved. God, may the light I carry be soft enough to comfort and strong enough to confront. Let it hold space for those who mourn and stir faith in those who doubt. Let it speak when words fail. Let it remain even when circumstances shift. Let it echo long after I leave the room, not because of me, but because it always pointed back to you. And when I begin to dim beneath the weight of discouragement or distraction, return me to stillness. Remind me to rest, to return, to remember that I am not the sun. I am a reflection. You are the source that never burns out, and in you, the flame will be tended. In you, the light will remain. Here I am, Father, walking in what I do not fully understand, but trusting in the one who understands fully. Let light be the rhythm of my rising, the strength of my standing, the peace in my pausing, and the echo of my resting. Let it carry me onward not as a flicker of hope, but as a steady fire lit by eternal hands. Father, as I continue walking in the rhythm of your light, I begin to notice that waiting is not an interruption of the journey. It is part of the journey, not a detour, but sacred ground where healing begins to unfold, slowly and quietly. There is a softness in the waiting that I once resisted, but now I am learning to lean into it, to let it hold me rather than frustrate me. I used to rush past these moments, desperate for resolution, uncomfortable with stillness. But now I see it clearly. Healing often hides in the quiet. Waiting strips me of the illusion that I am in control, and in its place, you offer me something deeper, the opportunity to be remade from the inside out. You do not waste these pauses. You use them to unearth what I have buried, to soothe what I have ignored, to tend to what I have numbed. The very space that feels like nothing is happening is often where the most is being restored. You know how much I long for things move quickly, for answers to come fast, for wounds to close without pain, for transformation to happen in an instant. But you are not hurried, and in your gentleness, you teach me that deep healing takes time. Roots do not grow overnight. Trust is not rebuilt in a moment. And the kind of wholeness you are creating in me cannot be rushed. So I exhale the pressure and breathe in your patience. Lord, when I cannot see the fruit yet, Let me trust that something is growing beneath the surface. When I cannot feel the shift, let me believe that you are working in ways beyond what my senses can detect. You are the God who forms miracles in silence, who resurrects in obscurity, who transforms in layers. I do not need to understand it all, I only need to remain open. Sometimes the waiting feels like being forgotten, like prayers are echoing into emptiness. But you remind me that silence does not mean absence. In fact, your most tender work often happens when all noise has been hushed. In the stillness, you cradle my broken pieces. In the quiet, you rearrange what I thought could never be whole. You do not rush the masterpiece. You love me enough to take your time. Teach me to find you here, not just when the promise is fulfilled, but while I am still aching for clarity. Teach me to worship in the tension, to anchor my soul not in outcomes, but in your character. I do not want a faith that only stands when life makes sense. I want a faith that stands in the fog, in the unknown, in the H. Believing you are still good, God. Help me recognize the healing happening in places I once dismissed. The quiet courage it takes to show up again after disappointment. The quiet strength it takes to forgive without apology. The quiet grace it takes to choose gentleness in the face of offense. These are not small things. These are the hidden victories that reshape my heart, not with fanfare but with faithfulness. Let the waiting transform me. Let it soften the places that grew hard from striving. Let it settle my mind when anxiety claws for control. Let it widen my capacity for compassion. When I begin to clench my fists in frustration, gently open my hands again. Remind me that I was never meant to carry timelines. I was meant to carry trust. You know when to move. You know when to pause. Your pace is perfect. Lord, I confess that waiting can feel like weakness, but with you, it becomes an act of strength. To wait without bitterness, to hope without guarantees, to stay without retreating. These are the acts of those who walk with you, not ahead of you. And I want to be found here in the waiting, in the trusting, in the becoming. There is something sacred about surrendering the outcome, not giving up, but giving over, placing my deepest longings in your hands and choosing not to snatch them back when fear rises. You hold them more tenderly than I ever could. And in the waiting, you are not just preparing the blessing for me. You are preparing me for the blessing. Help me see the beauty in these slow seasons. The kind that does not sparkle but settles. The kind that does not shout but sings low, steady songs of faithfulness. Let me not miss the hidden harvest, the one that grows in character, in resilience, in joy not based on circumstance. Teach me to gather these treasures like morning dew, collecting the wisdom that only the still spaces can offer. God, you are not idle in my waiting. You are whispering truths into my tired soul. You are removing what no longer serves me. You are aligning my desires with yours, even when the scenery does not change. You are changing me. That is a miracle all its own. So today, I choose not to resent this season. I choose to rest in it, to see it as fertile soil, not barren ground, to believe that the delay is not denial, it is design. You are layering healing into my story, not just so I can be made whole, but so I can offer wholeness to others. Nothing is wasted in your hands, not even the waiting. Let me carry this truth like a quiet anthem through the day. You are near, you are at work, and I am not alone in the in-between. Others are waiting too, some in silence, some in sorrow, some in surrender. Let me be a voice of encouragement for them. Let me remind them, even as I remind myself, that healing is happening here, even if we cannot see it yet. Let my posture reflect patience. Let my presence become peaceful. Let my life testify that waiting with you is not empty, it is sacred. In the stillness, you are sowing seeds, and in your time, they will bloom not just around me, but within me. You are the God of the process, not just the promise, and I belong to you even in the pauses. That is enough. That is holy. That is healing. Lord, as this sacred journey draws near its close, I feel the hush of morning settle over my soul. It is not an ending, but a gentle turning, a sacred stillness before the day unfolds. The path behind me glows with footprints of trust, of prayers whispered in the dark, of moments when the silence was heavy but holy. And now, in this breath, I pause not to conclude, but to give thanks. You have met me in places I did not even know were aching. You have spoken into caverns that had not heard truth in a long time. You have waited with me when I could not move, and you have carried me when I could not pray. Every chapter, every pause, every plea woven together into a fabric of quiet faith that now wraps around me like a soft morning shawl. There is no grand finale, no need for loud declarations. Only this, a deeper knowing, a steadier heart, a soul that has been tended by your quiet nearness. I am not who I was when I began this journey. Something has shifted. Not everything is resolved. Not every question has an answer. But there is a peace that no answer could provide. Father, you have not only taught me how to rise in the morning, you have taught me how to awaken from within, to come alive not only when the sky turns gold, but when the soul remembers its belovedness, that I am yours, that I am held, that no matter the winds, I am anchored in mercy. This is the light I carry forward. Let what has been planted in the stillness now stretch toward the light. Let every whisper of truth echo through my choices. Let the quiet lessons I have learned here become the posture of my life, gentle, rooted, expectant. I do not want to rush from this place. I want to linger. I want to gather all that you have given and carry it with reverence. Sometimes we expect the conclusion to be a crescendo, but instead, it is a quiet assurance, a heart at rest, a life realigned. You have taught me that transformation is not always loud. It happens in the space between breaths, in the patience of waiting, in the surrender of control. You have shaped me with silence, sculpted me with slowness, drawn me deeper through stillness. And now, I look around and realize I am not alone. Others have walked this path beside me, praying, searching, listening, hoping. We have each brought our own burdens to the altar and found in your presence something far greater than relief. We have found renewal, not the absence of struggle, but the presence of you in the struggle. That is our victory. Thank you for the ones who have joined this journey, who have opened their hearts to these sacred hours. May every listener who has whispered their own longings find courage in knowing they are seen. May those who came in pieces realize they are not too broken to be made whole. May those who doubted find peace not in certainty, but in surrender. To those who have stayed through the quiet mornings and the tender truths, I offer my gratitude. This prayer has been ours, a shared altar of quiet faith and resilient hope. You were never just listening, you were participating. Your presence shaped the silence. Your yearning became part of the offering. And the God who heard you in the dark still walks beside you now. Into whatever this day brings, I invite you to carry this light into the world, not just in words, but in your presence. Let others feel the peace that has anchored you. Let your gentleness be strength, your kindness be power, your hope be testimony. The world does not need louder voices. It needs steadier souls, souls who have learned to rise in the morning not because life is easy, but because they trust the one who holds the dawn. Keep praying. Keep listening. Keep showing up to the quiet places where God still speaks. And if you ever find yourself lost again, return here not to start over, but to remember, you are not alone. The same light that met you at the beginning will meet you again. His presence is not limited to chapters. It lingers. It flows. It breathes. Let this final moment be like standing at the edge of a new morning. The kind of morning that does not need explanation. The kind that simply arrives, soft and sure, brushing across your face like a cool breeze through an open window. The kind of morning that reminds you life goes on, but you go on with more grace, more depth, more faith than before. Thank you, dear friend, for walking this journey to its end and to its beginning again. If this prayer has moved your heart or met you in your need, I invite you to share your thoughts, your own prayers, your story below. This is a sacred space where faith grows through connection. Let your voice be part of the light others find here. And if these mornings have blessed you, consider subscribing to this channel. Share it with someone who might need a quiet word in their weary place. Help us continue nurturing this rhythm of faith, one sunrise at a time. Together, we rise. Together, we believe. Together, we welcome the light. And now, may you step into this day like a soul touched by morning, calm, open, expectant. May the light within you match the light above you, and may every breath you take be a reminder that God is near. Like sunlight slipping through the window, like wind gently moving the trees, like a river flowing quietly toward life.